Jeff has been helping out for how many years now? Seems like forever. Anyway, just got to take care of his father. His father's getting a little...
Well, lame excuse.
Well, he did it because he liked the bike ride, you know. But since his father can't ride this far, he's decided he needs to retire. So we do appreciate his help, and I think everybody...
Break from this place too.
So what's everybody here for?
Meeting, our health.
For our health.
It's a way to get out of the house on Saturday morning.
Take the water out of the tap, great things will happen.
Oh, I would hope so.
At least ways I'm being honest.
Well, does anybody have any ideas of what we're going to talk about today?
There was something about a new version of the operating system.
Yeah. And how long did you study for that?
I didn't even know that there was going to be a new version until I read the email.
Did you have your presentation ready?
Did I have my presentation?
Yeah. I mean, you guys keep coming every time. Yeah, I know you're gonna choke. Nobody choked up.
All right, Steve, I need the help on the audio as usual there.
Okay, sure. So we are gonna have to make you feel guilty and say, we've been doing this for a hell of a long time. For me, 33 years. Some people need to take an incentive to do a presentation to the rest of the members. Because we're Greg, I mean, you know, he amazes me.
Started this, some of us had hair.
And it wasn't a great challenge.
And the audio.
I came because I've got a question and I don't know.
They may or may not have an answer.
If not, we'll make it up.
Yes. There we go.
I used to do it to iCloud.
Yeah.
Get out of the box.
I wanted to put all my photos in iCloud so it would be a good backup for us. And then I got this notice that said, if you do that, we're deleting all of your files from your computer. And that just seems wrong to me, and I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, so I can read the charge phone.
That
Oh,
doesn't sound
that I
right.
might.
Doesn't sound
I
right.
might.
Just a standard USB.
Now, we didn't touch that. Let me just turn it.
No, yeah, no, I did enough. We're gonna take all.
Put everything in.
Appreciate it. I left like 10 foot, 2 10 foot ones I don't really care about. We go around all.
Backing it up with time machine.
Ah, okay.
How do you get rid
No,
of
but
time machine
I
empty?
got these quick ones.
Use time machine.
I don't have enough
How do you get
experience and have a
erase
pleasure.
time machine?
Lately, that's become the same for me. Although,
Stuff
I get
that's
laid
in
off,
time
so it might not be an issue.
But you can still,
Backing up, backing up, backing up, backing up.
oh, you go to your preferences and you go to time machine and it says on or off, you just click the switch off and it'll stop backing up.
But then how do you get rid of all the stuff that's already there?
Robert,
Yes, sir.
you gotta
You have it
explain
on
to
a
all these
separate
beautiful
drive?
people here
It's not separate.
how
You
easy.
can just reformat, erase the
Looks like you
drive.
got it. Yeah, looks like you got it.
Yeah, but the thing is, then you lose all your backup.
Yeah,
The
you
thing makes all kinds of
can
fuzz, and I'm back, and you guys get excited and think,
Garbage,
hey.
you know, just.
you can still go to that drive, double click on it, open up the latest
The
stuff.
drug it to the trash. You know, 586,000 pieces.
And it'll take 5 hours to
To
trash.
trash it, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, and
What you do
sometimes,
is you start it at night and you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and it's done.
yeah, or it went to sleep and it didn't do anything. I've had that. Yeah.
What the hell's going on with you?
You can still open up that drive, go to the latest backup, double click, open it
There you
up,
go.
and then all your stuff will be there.
Okay.
And you can drag back in whatever you want, whatever you do with it.
All right, there we go, 9 o'clock, I like that.
Yeah, right.
That sounded fast, too early, huh? Good morning, good morning, good morning, how you doing? I've been doing a lot of reading this month. A new volume came out. Every year I get a new one of these and get to read it all over again. It's a new version for the operating system. This is what happens. This is our El Capi tab. It's just maybe only 30 pages larger than last year's. But this is 10.11. 10.9, which is, what's 10.9?
Mavericks, right? Mavericks?
Mavericks, yes, Mavericks.
Yeah.
Next month I'm going to bring the Mavericks in, because how many people still using Mavericks? Really? Wow. Well,
10.6? Yeah.
no, 9. Mavericks. Anyways, if you were to read this, you'll know more than I know. The 10.9 Mavericks, you know more than I know, because I forget more than I remember.
Yeah, we're getting to that age, aren't we?
Yeah. But anyways, going through this thing, it's a wonderful thing, because I'm just going to go through and at some point I'm going to pick a chapter and we're just going to talk about that kind of stuff. Because, from year to year, we know it stays essentially the same. But I was looking through this, contents at a glance, talks about recovery. Does anybody have to deal with recovery? Where you've got a computer and the hard drive just goes out. And you've got, you don't have anymore the DVDs to install. So, you've got a computer that's dead, going down and buy a hard drive, and now what? But with recovery, you have an internet connection, you plug that into your computer, and it will automatically, without a hard drive, connect to your network, and connect to Apple's download servers, and pull down the latest operating system.
I thought you had to hold the button down.
Well, yeah. I'm just talking about.
Oh, no.
You have to push this button, that button.
Did they change
Oh,
it?
leave the details out. But the fact is that you can have a computer with no operating system on it at all, a brand new hard drive, and get from Apple a new working operating computer, because it automatically knows how to connect and get to the right place. That's just amazing stuff. God, if that happened in the Windows world, oh my God. Of course, they're getting there. They really are. What it takes to import.
And what do?
Yeah.
They copy Apple.
Right. What it takes apart, of course, is a computer that it knows where home is, if you will. And it knows at the other end that there's an operating system that's free, because you're not paying for the operating system anymore, except, of course, everyone will say, well, you pay for it when you buy the computer.
Yeah.
So, but, the amount of time and the money that I make from people that have PCs, they could save so much money if they were to use a Mac, but that's fine, they use whatever that works for them. Often you just can't. Anyways, going down through this, we'll talk about, we'll touch on a chapter, and then we'll find people that go, oh my God, I've been waiting to ask that question. So let's go to that. Does anybody have any problems over the last month that you come and you're kind of like wondering how to resolve them? Yes, sir. Let's go
I
ahead.
had a question for you. About a month ago, I had some major problems. It got elevated to the point where an Apple engineer was working with me over the phone for almost a total of 8 hours over a period.
It's amazing the customer support you get.
Yeah, just amazing.
Try that with Microsoft. Won't happen.
Considering my computer's out of warranty.
Right?
Anyhow,
Yep.
he got problems solved. He also got me, I had a 1 terabyte drive, I think it was, and I decided it was filled up from Time Machine. So I reformatted that, and I went to set it up for Time Machine. And the first time I tried to do the Time Machine backup, the thing crashed. Took about 3 times, finally got it to do a Time Machine backup. Since then, every 10-15 minutes I get a message that we tried to do a Time Machine backup and failed. My thought is I went to the internet that there might be a compatibility, because the drive was working fine before, that there might be some sort of compatibility problem. So last night, I haven't even unwrapped it yet. I went out and I bought a new hard drive to put Time Machine on, but I'm wondering if you know anything about any hard drive brand or whatever specific problems where it maybe doesn't play well with the Time Machine.
Well, the first hole that you might fall into is that you really do want these drives, external drives, if you will, to be formatted with the Mac OS X operating
Yeah,
formatting.
right.
Okay, is it?
The new one, I'm gonna have to format.
Okay.
But the old one is, it's
Okay.
been working,
Okay, you previously
prior to
used
it, it's just a regular
Right.
drive.
Because still in general, the reality is you go buy a hard drive, and unless it's labeled Mac on the box, which do not bother paying for, just buy a hard drive, it's gonna be formatted for NT or for NTFS and all of that, so.
Which
you
on
want-
later operating systems, it will still show up, it's just a lot slower.
Well, and you can read, but you can't write as always natively.
Right.
So the issue is make sure that your drives that you do first out of the box, format them such that it can take proper use of Time Machine, because that's the biggest hole that people fall into. Now, if you had an old drive that was working and accepting Time Machine backups and stuff like that, most of the time it is that remote drive, and if you can finagle the information off of it, I would just reformat it, clear it off, and then restart with new backups. Because sometimes it's just, your computer has a memory, it has a knowledge of that drive and how it's supposed to talk to it and what files are supposed to be on there. So you've got to clear that kind of stuff out, and that's usually the biggest, quickest fix. And the problem actually is over time, is that we end up filling that up. The time capsule that I once had was a 1 gigabyte drive, and that was just plenty. But over time, our stuff accumulates. I mean, I went to my downloads folder the other day and looked at item after item after item, and there's stuff like, why do I have this anymore? Why do I have this anymore? Why do I have this anymore? But the time it takes to get rid of it is also questionable, because it's so freaking small that it doesn't matter. But yet, obviously, it accumulates. It's like a speck of dust doesn't matter. But you come into my house and you look at the dust on some of the things, and you go, wow, I guess it adds up. So, you know, it's those little pieces of grains of sand. One doesn't hurt you, but a couple in your socks can really bug you. Yes?
This goes back some history. I've got a couple of documents. Recently took an interest in genealogy. My father and I, years ago, put this together in McDraw.
Big Draw?
Yes.
Okay, I love Big Draw.
Yeah, it was a great
Great
program.
program.
Love, ED.
It was.
Okay.
And so now that I went to System 10, it's changed the icon. I have a .fbk and .ftw. I've gone online and I've inquired about this, and it says yes, our converter will change. Will convert that. However, I'm questioning its ability. It's like you have to pay up front, give it a try, doesn't work. I thought I'd come to the users group and just get some expertise on this.
Okay, there were several generations of Mac Draw and the kind of files that they wrote. They were picked drawings and stuff like that at some point. And I wouldn't bet that graphic converter would be able to convert them.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if it can't, I would get on the forums of graphic converter, and those people will know the better way to do it. Because I love those drawings, and to recover the the files is great, but actually what I really love is to have the simplicity and ease of use of Mac Draw. But that's not.
I mean, it's
We
where
have to move on.
you start. When we first bought our Macs, we got Mac Paint, and right. And the thing is like I was an engineer at the time, and I wanted to take and duplicate circles and put them here and do this and do
Copy
that
paste.
on copy paste.
And then he found a
And-
PC layout program, a PC board layout program. Oh my God, he was
Yeah. But you know, nothing's forever, and it's really you get stuck with that. And if you're doing that, the genealogy, I would start looking at a thing like Reunion, Because see, I started with genealogy and many years ago, and I started using a thing called PAF, Personal Ancestral File, put out by the church. And that worked great. It was the greatest thing. Then they stopped supporting the Mac.
Right. Well,
And that did all your connections and all the lines and stuff you needed to draw.
I know there's services online.
Right,
It's
exactly.
it's my father and I, we sat down with an 8.5 by 11, we drew it, and I said, well, let me put that on
Right.
the computer. So
Yeah.
I don't have to open or keep the file, I just want to view it.
Right.
And I can
Yeah.
duplicate it after
right,
that.
right.
Well, that
Editing,
one I
you
just-
won't have editing.
I just showed you real quickly, here's a program that you could download a demo called Intaglio that they claim will open MacDraw files.
All right, here we go. Read drawings from that works clear as draw, Mac, draw, two.
And I'm not sure I'm gonna go check it, I don't have a current copy, but I think Graphic Converter will do it as well.
Right, yes.
Excellent, thank you.
You know, and you're right, for Ancestry, you really, they want to know all of your information.
I know, too
And
much.
so, and well, you know, get over it. They don't really care about you. But so to use the online services for that kind of stuff is really not a silly thing. Because all of your stuff, there's somebody else out there that's doing it from another way. You know, Facebook says that we're interconnected by like 4.85 or something degrees. And I'm kind of tending to know that it's probably within the 6. So your work could be easier by that way. See, did you know that there's people still doing PC Logic board design with paint? Yeah, really, I've seen it. I've heard it.
Oh, man.
I know.
I can't read that.
Yeah, yes.
No, his name's Robert.
Yes, yes, sir.
2 days ago, I foolishly answered a pop-up ad that said, I've been infected.
Oh, God, please, you
Oh,
guys,
my.
how many times do we talk about
Did you
this?
wake up on the right side of the dirt this morning?
It was late at night. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no computing late at night. Good.
Okay.
Real quick
Anyway,
before we get off the subject, here's another one from Graphic Converter, from Lemke, who makes Graphic Converter,
Amazing.
Cadentosh.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Cadentosh is available as a free demo to try out as well.
Right.
I'd be willing to bet this one would work, because Graphic Converter's big thing is they can open and save in about 100 different formats.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And what's the name of this one then?
So go to Lemke, Lemke, Lemke
Okay.
Software, who
Yeah.
makes Graphic Converter, and this particular product they sell called Cadentosh.
Anybody got a laser pointer in their pocket?
Okay?
That's fine. That's
Okay.
okay. That's okay. No, I just say, you look up at the top, it says graphic converter, and go there first, and then from there, they've got this next other versions as well. Yes, sir.
Robert, back to finishes.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, okay. Anyways, you were after ours report, you went and clicked on a bus.
Yeah, I clicked
the
on
button.
it. He said, you got your firewall on, you got this on, that.
Right.
Then he started saying you need this and that. I had 4 programs, added up to about $280.
You bought them?
And I said, who are you anyway? And then I finally disengaged myself. I looked them up on Google and they said, don't answer these guys, they're
Right.
crooks and all of that. Get your hard drive wiped or something like that.
Yeah.
So I made an appointment. I have a 3:30 this afternoon at the Genius Bar to do something.
Okay.
What
You-
should I do?
Okay, you should don't worry about it. Largely, the likelihood of anything really, well, okay, let me back up. The likelihood of anybody being able to get your stuff today is essentially nil. Okay, now having said that, once somebody has access to your drive, theoretically, they could do all kinds of stuff. Now, in those late night hours, when you're talking to somebody who's on the other end who's going to help you, you give them all kinds of information that you don't even realize what you're saying afterward, until after, if somebody were to tell, do you know you told them this and that and everything else? Because if you are wise enough, when a dialogue comes up and says, okay, type in your password, to type it in and to not tell them, etc., then you're fine and good. Because yes, they could install a team viewer on there and all kinds of different stuff, but it's pretty, for the most part, they're pretty hard to hide.
I have a program I brought to after, you do your session. Called Bitdefender, and my son turned me on to this,
Oh.
and you don't know of it? Robert?
There's another one that's excellent as well.
Okay, but-
Gatekeeper or something like that,
Yeah.
that monitors
That goes-
every kind of incoming traffic, and you get to see every program that is coming in to talk to your computer. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is, one, and I get into this a lot because I serve Laguna Woods Village, is a lot of the seniors will call up, and seniors include me. And they say, hey, we found this problem and stuff like this, call this number immediately. It even does it on mine. You know, if I'm late at night looking on Safari, and it comes up and it says, oh, you should get MacKeeper. Well, yeah, right. You know, MacKeeper we know is no, forget it. And the thing is like Robert says, once they have access, or once you've paid, they'll usually $2.99 for a year's service, forget it. I mean, you can get it back through your credit card company, but the thing is, it's just a hassle that you don't need.
And the regular payments, we're smart enough to cut those off. But anyway, little snitch for people like you. The general, most of us don't really care. Little snitch will monitor the incoming and outgoing traffic. It will tell most of us more than we ever really care. Because it'll tell you Microsoft is checking what version you've got, and Adobe's checking what version you've got, and all the HP printers are checking what this and that. It'll find all kinds of things you don't want to know. But for you, I would probably do little snitch. Because you'll want to see that all of the people that are coming in and out are people that you really know. Okay, fine, I have that program installed, I have that program. You want to know that the people that are coming in and out. Because if you don't do this, then your only alternate is to rewipe your drive and install a new system and reinstall all the apps, which you don't want to do. Just for the minute chance that there's something that somebody might want to do, use a little snitch.
And if you do call the number that they give you on the screen, find out what language they're talking.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Oh, you know, every big company hires people, you know, all around the world because it's cheap labor. And there's not a company around that doesn't like cheap labor. And then sometimes those people are better trained than some people locally. So the fact that, I mean, there's a lot of countries that put education far higher than we do. So I wouldn't go, it's a flag. It's one of many flags, is if the person can speak intelligently and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that it's not their native language, I'm not going to say that person doesn't know more than I know. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the MacKeeper, I keep getting ads for it.
Right.
There was something wrong with it?
It's just junk. It's just spamware. It's entirely out there to take your money and not give you any value for it.
You mean that all these searches they claim they can do and so forth?
Doesn't matter. I don't care.
Bullshit.
MacKeeper you will never, ever get your value for anything you give to them.
And the main thing is, just like he said, he went to Google. Just put it in as a search on Google and it'll tell you somebody somewhere has had what you got into.
Sure.
And they'll put it on there. There's two things. Very seldom do you get compliments. But boy, if you do something wrong or screw up somebody's computer, they let everybody know about it.
Well, and right, and when you first off, you have no friends on the internet. You just don't. And when you get a phone number to call, put the phone number in Google or whatever it is, because that they can't change around. Every ad they can have a new and different name of who they are. Every single one. But the phone numbers, there's a limited number of phone numbers that they can have, and so the phone number is a good way to trace down. But you have no friends. If any dialogue comes up and says, hey, call this number, yeah, right. You know, unless they're going to talk dirty to you, don't worry about it. Yes, sir.
Back on initiating his external hard drive,
Yeah.
what format is recommended to?
OSX journals. OSX journal. So Greg will bring up disk utility, and one of the few things it still does is, it goes down to there, he goes and clicks on that, is if you go to erase, you will see all of the different formats, and you don't want case sensitive, you just want the very first one, OS Extended Journal. Case sensitive is what geeks do, and they hate, the normal person regrets it later. Geeks may think it's cool to do case sensitive. Encrypted, I wouldn't bother with that unless you are forced to by the company you work for. And then you've got, Extended Geek, which is case sensitive journals encrypted.
Okay, you have that, and you take your external hard drive over to your friend
Okay.
that has Blend X.
Okay.
can they read that hard drive?
Not without extra utilities, no.
Their extra utilities or your extra?
Theirs.
Theirs,
Theirs.
right.
Okay.
So when you
Their
say,
computer has to be taught how to listen and understand what this is. Now, there's this MS-DOS SPAT. If you have more than $20, you can buy a
Tuxera or,
something like this, a little flash drive.
there you go.
And this one has 32 gigabytes. And you format that as a MS-DOS SPAT.
Well, here, you can see right away that I'm looking at this micro SD2 card that I've got in there.
Okay,
It's formatted right now as extended FAT.
right.
Only because that makes it compatible with other PCs.
Exactly, that's right.
It's only being used for backup images to take to somebody else's
Right.
PC.
If you know
So
people
that's
with a
why I've done it that
PC
way.
and you want to go over to their place, take a 32 gigabyte or a 64 gigabyte drive.
Because they cost nothing.
They cost nothing, it'll have more space than you need to move stuff back and forth. Because you put this in your Mac, you copy it on, take it over, copy it out. This is 100% compatible. Yes, sir.
I want to get a flatbed scanner,
Okay,
and I bought one and had to take it back, bought a HP and had to take it back because
Okay.
it was not compatible with the latest version of El Capitan.
okay,
Okay, so then I thought I was going to be clever, and I went to the Apple website to see what they're selling,
mhm,
and then I went then to Apple Care
Right.
to help you out.
right,
And I asked them if that, in fact, what they're selling on their website is compatible with the
Right.
newest version of El Capitan.
Right.
And after a long time of them doing research, come back and say, no, it's not.
okay,
Okay, so then I called the company, Epson,
uh-huh.
and they did some research and said, no, unfortunately, not right now. My question is there a reliable
Okay.
resource that you can find out
Right,
what
yeah.
exactly, that
Okay,
doesn't work
okay,
either.
okay.
You did try with the
I
latest
did,
version
and
of
I was back and forth with the owner of that thing, and it never did.
Because I
work.
found this to
Wow.
work years
Wow.
before anything
Wow.
was done on Mac.
Okay, the issue is, the piece of hardware is essentially compatible anywhere. It's a scanner. It's a scanner, scanner, scanner. What it comes into is the drivers that they use. And yes, El Capitan has some differences that they have there that a lot of people worked around and didn't care about. And so the software that comes with that box, with that scanner, is typically what the problem is. As I say typically here, because there's always exceptions. And Greg has brought up this ViewScan because these guys have software that is compatible with the Mac and knows how to talk all the weirdness that different scanners like to talk. So if it's not compatible with ViewScan, I wouldn't buy the scanner.
Yeah, neither would I. Because
Because-
ViewScan
Correct,
works.
but how do you, that's my question. Before you go buy it, how
Okay.
do you find out?
Well, because in ViewScan, I believe that you go to their, on their site, they will tell you the list of different scanners. Okay, right, go back one moment here. If you'll see right there, compatible with over 2,800 scanners. So there is a supported scanners button, and here's tons of scanners.
It was
Now,
an HP?
I would go to an Epson scanner, or I would probably, there's plenty of scanners there. Now, all of those might not be sold today, obviously.
they take and they have downloaded all the things where it says driver, driver, driver.
Right,
They have downloaded all the
sure.
drivers.
They're already
for it.
installed in
Yeah.
your software. But I would go with an Epson scanner, or who else, what other good name is there?
Canon makes a great scanner.
And you're looking at
Brother
this,
makes a great scanner.
when you're looking at the scanner, you said a flatbed, which intrigued me.
Yeah.
Because many scanners have a sheet feeder on top, but then you can lift that for a flatbed. And unless you know that you got a piles of stuff here, well, not that actually, unless you know you have a pile of books that you're gonna scan, significantly consider one with a sheet feeder. Because it's a lot faster to have a sheet feeder than to have to do everything with flatbed. Now, flatbeds are for books and anything that will
Photos.
speak. Photos are fine for flatbed, but photos you may not have the ability to go through a feeder. Some feeders are straight feeds, which is really nice. If it has a straight feed, that won't, not gonna curl up anything.
Yeah, like this one, the Neat brand, which they've advertised off and on TV, and it's available for Mac
Oh,
and
yeah.
PC. they're a straight feed scanner, so they would take
Right.
most photos.
And when we talk about that, we've got another brand, very, very common, as an X1500 or a Fujitsu.
Yeah, they make
Yeah,
good scanners.
Fujitsu makes an excellent scanner. And a lot of these, see the one on the left there? They're sheet feeders, and they work just fine for photos. Will not damage your photo. And much, much faster.
But you can't put a page of a book in there.
No,
No,
and so you
that
need,
That's why I want the flat.
so you need a flatbed that
That's the thing,
has
you gotta make a
a
decision.
straight
I've
feed
made
also.
my decision.
And that there's
Well, here at
flatbeds.
Office Mac, you can get a $69 flatbed scanner
Right.
that supposedly will work with Mac.
Right. I'm just saying,
Supposedly is the operative phrase
You
there.
know what, tell them when you go in there,
yeah, well,
if this doesn't work with my Mac, I'm gonna bring it back.
well, they
They're
don't
not gonna
know.
give you half.
They don't know. But I would take that and look that up on the ViewScan page. They keep that pretty much up to date.
You know,
Yes.
this driver software you're referring to, ViewScan, that's not related to scanning optical character recognition, is it?
They
No, not
have,
really.
No.
They do have a software that does that.
right.
ViewScan was originally used on Visioneer paperboards,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I thought were the cat's meow. I had one for each of our computers. We set it up, it was very small, you
Just
know.
below the
We set it
monitor.
right, no, we set it up on top of the monitor with some double-sided tape. And you have a paper, zoom, it comes right back to you, take it out. Now, the one that I found and I have is made, well, it's not made by Kodak, but Kodak, they sold it with Kodak's name through Costco. And they were first at $85, and then I found out they lowered their price, so I got a refund. But the thing is, that will do, you can put pictures in, no problem. You take, and they give you a little track, and you plug the track in, you take negatives. Now, you're talking about probably old family pictures to scan. But this thing, you can take the negatives, once you've decided which way is the right way to scan it, then you just put them through, and they create single files for each. So if you got 4, you're gonna get 4 files.
Well, as a matter of fact,
Wow.
if you have Photoshop, which means it probably exists out there for others, Photoshop makes an interesting plugin, because when I worked at Konica Minolta years back, all of our copiers were 11 by 17 inch scanners, so they could do tabloid sized pages. I could take and put a whole bunch of photographs up there, and as long as I left a gap between them when it scanned them, they were all on one image, right? With gaps between the pictures. And this particular Photoshop plugin would actually look at that, see the gaps between the pictures, and turn them all into individual images.
Oh, wow. But
So
that's
that, when
bugs.
you had several hundred images to scan,
Yeah, but
that
that's
really was a
bugs.
time saver.
But these
Now, by the way,
things that we're
on that
talking
actual one
about-
we just showed for $69 over there at Office Max, here on the ViewScan page, they've got a driver for it. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty safe bet this would work.
Yeah, I like the ViewScan because it's something you can learn and it will outlive your scanner. In other words, you will continue to use it for the next scan and the next scan. And that's really quite nice because our time is precious and just learning how to use this stuff is very intuitive. But still, it's got buku features and everything else, and I like the guy who's been designing and supporting the community forever.
Well,
Yeah.
let me just tell you that it would not work with the upgrade to the latest upgrade. And I had lots of interaction with the guy
Okay.
that you're
Nothing's
talking about
perfect.
there.
No, no.
And it, regardless of what they say, it will not work.
With the scanner that you have.
Correct.
I get that.
And, but it claimed to, that's my
Okay,
point.
there are.
They're human.
The scanners, they can screw things up pretty easily. But they're essentially unique, the same. That's why one guy can talk to them all.
Great
Yes, sir.
job, Robert.
Hold on.
I have a question. I've been trying to move all my stuff to the cloud,
Okay,
the iCloud.
interesting.
My question is this, I get this message and it bothers me and I haven't done anything with it. If you turn off iCloud Drive, all the documents stored in iCloud will be deleted from this Mac.
I wouldn't like that message either.
What do I do?
Well, the first thing you do is you back up. And see, and I say that, not trying to be funny, but the fact is, isn't that what the beauty of the backup is? Is that no matter how bad we fuck up, that it's all there, still somewhere else? Okay, that's step one.
Okay, Okay, so what it's
Well, what is it, what program are you using, what feature are you using?
I'm just trying to get on iCloud, and this is the message I've got. If you turn off iCloud Drive, all documents stored in the cloud will be deleted from this Mac.
Well,
But it also says your documents will still be available on other devices using iCloud.
okay, okay.
So what is it really telling me?
Well, if we're to take it literally, which I tend to like to do, whenever possible, is you have that Mac and you have this Mac.
Yes, and I also have a iPhone and an iPad.
Okay, okay. So you have other devices.
Yes,
And if they're iCloud people, and you turn off iCloud on this one will now not have all of the cloud stuff on it. It'll say bye-bye. Because it's only there because it has somewhere else to talk to, so to speak. And now, on the Mac, on your Mac you've got an iCloud. If Greg goes to his Finder, over on the sidebar, go up into the Finder window, you've got this iCloud Drive, okay?
okay,
Copy things out of that iCloud Drive onto a place on your computer.
I think that's really what that
Right.
verbiage means.
Exactly, right. The iCloud Drive, you like to think that, oh, this is all on my computer. Well, it's only there because it's syncing with someone else, okay? So if you take the stuff in there and copy it to somewhere else on your hard drive, you can then turn off iCloud on that computer, and that iCloud Drive will disappear, and all the stuff that was in there is gone, but that's okay because I have that over here.
I think
Okay.
essentially what it means is, here's a good example. Some of the, not everything can be stored in iCloud at the moment. Here's a copy of, I don't know, something I was experimenting with under OACC, so I figured that was a safe bet to open, no porn in it yet. That I saved in the iCloud Drive, because there's an option within all the Mac apps to save to the iCloud Drive. When you save to the iCloud Drive, you're not saving it locally. You're saving a reference to it locally, but you're actually saving it in the iCloud Drive, so it's available to all your other devices, okay? Now, what happens is you turn the iCloud Drive off, it says it's going to delete the files on your Mac. They weren't on your Mac. They were in this reference folder.
They were on your Mac.
Right, well,
They really were.
if you saved it only to the cloud, it's no longer there.
Well, okay, point is, okay, I'm on my phone, I take a picture. I've sent to this thing, I want to talk to the cloud. When I take the picture, boom, it jumps to the cloud, okay? Now on Greg's machine, it automatically appears to his iCloud Drive. So he goes back home and he looks at it, he can open it up instantly. Why? Because the iCloud has automatically downloaded it to that folder. And you look at it there, and it's there, and you see it, and you believe and fully know that it's on there. But only because it's somewhere else. Because if on your phone, you deleted it from the iCloud Drive, it would disappear from your computer. Okay? Because the computer says, look there, and make sure you have one of everything that's there. And keep it in sync. So as you turn off iCloud on your computer, that iCloud Drive will disappear, and your computer, that computer, will not see any of the stuff that's in your iCloud Drive.
okay, now how do you turn off the iCloud?
Oh, that's real easy. You go to preferences, or
System preferences.
I'm just gonna show you a way, if you're unsure, here's how to get around that. Okay, you go over here to iCloud, and click on sign out.
Or just shut off your internet connection.
Well, you could do that too.
But that's in essence the same as.
If you're worried, do this. Go to the Finder where you see the iCloud Drive in this sidebar there, hold down the Option key, select it and drag it to the desktop. No, that's not gonna do it.
Well,
Well,
that's a good
whatever.
idea.
You understand the concept.
I
It's like
understand.
Dropbox.
Oh,
Dropbox is the same kind of thing.
okay, so Dropbox,
There you go. I was dragging the content, I can drag the content. You see what I'm doing right there?
okay,
See the plus? That means it's gonna make a copy.
okay,
So it's gonna still leave it in the iCloud, it's gonna still leave it in the iCloud Drive, because I haven't turned that off yet, but it's now made a copy. So and that's the case, make yourself a folder on the desktop, open up all the subfolders that are inside on iCloud Drive, and drag hold the Option key down, drag the contents over there. that'll force to make a copy locally, now you can turn off iCloud Drive.
Okay, now I have,
But you've turned off iCloud Drive on that device.
okay,
It's still active unless you turn it off on your iPad and your iPhone or any other Macs, it's still active.
okay. Now, if I was to turn it off on all of my devices, it would still be in the cloud.
For 30 days, I think is
Was
what,
that it?
I think when you delete something or whatever it is. 'cause
Well,
you
no,
can
he's
recover-
not saying delete. If he turns off iCloud
Oh,
on
no,
each of his
you're right,
devices.
you're right, the stuff still stays there because you've got that
And then the
space.
minute I turn it back on, then
It's
it all
available
pops,
again.
it
That's
all
right.
pops
Because
back.
you can
Yeah, right.
access your iCloud via the internet.
PC, yeah, right.
Okay,
Right, that's in essence what it's there for, that kind of sharing.
okay, all right. Now I've got one other question.
One more, okay.
I'm kind of hogging my
That's
time
fine,
here.
they're fine questions. I'll shut you down if it's not.
Okay, in iPhoto, you used to be able to drag a photo from iPhoto and place it directly into Microsoft Word.
Okay,
Now with the new photo, you can't do that. You have to go, the only way I could figure out how to do it was to bring it from photo to email, and then from email,
no.
You shouldn't have to do
No,
that,
no,
we'll find
no.
out here in a moment.
No, what we're just talking
I
about.
haven't tried it, but.
You're right, there's so many things I never get around to having the opportunity to try. So to go into all photos, wherever, and so, as soon as, what I'm looking for here is a collection of stuff. Just because, okay, so drag any one of those, with the hoping we know, any one of those and just drag it over.
There's
There's
a plus.
sign. Right.
If you get a plus sign, that means it's gonna work.
Right, go ahead,
Or it
go for
should've.
giggles. Just,
How come it didn't?
well,
Because
did
you
you let go?
You have to be active on the supplying window
Can you let go?
before you like.
We'll go over there and do a copy and then a paste, let's try that.
that didn't work either.
Well, it should have, because it was a plus.
You doing a paste? I don't see a paste. There's no paste available.
That's the same problem I had.
Okay.
That's an enhancement.
Well, okay, Greg will figure that out in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'll show you how to do that.
I've never had to do it, so.
I like the plus sign. So you could have stopped there.
The
We
plus
moved to the
should have
next question.
worked. The plus should have
The
worked.
plus
From
usually
Word, you
works.
do an insert photo. From Word.
Oh,
You tell it to go get it from
so it's a
iPhone.
Word thing? So,
Hang on, hang on, let's see if it works. I dragged it to the
There's an
desktop.
insert menu. Okay, that's one way.
It works when you do it to the
So
desktop.
you drag it from photo to the desktop and the desktop to Word.
Yeah,
Try the insert photo.
the only thing is it
Photo
won't,
down there.
see, it's looking
From the
from,
file or browser, so it's looking for a specific one.
It's looking
as
for a
opposed to
file.
drag.
What it is it doesn't have the access, we won't be able to get it.
Right, I hear you.
So you've gotta save it to the desktop in order for it to become it's a limitation on the Word side.
Go to text edit or something.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
good
thing,
idea.
and just see if it's a Word side. Because the reality is what we're always dealing with is there's at least two different individuals going on here, the giver and the taker. And so, I mean, while we all know that, yeah. I don't even see, there, did it go?
No,
I didn't see the plus though, which was interesting.
no.
But does text edit actually able to do graphics?
I thought it could.
I don't use it for graphics, but, I mean, I use graphic converter
It worked
dozens of
dragging
times
it
a
from the
day.
desktop.
Yeah.
It's a limitation on, it's something limiting on photos.
Because you saw the plus in it, well, research it, tell us what's going on. All right, so, I mean,
I'm
Yeah,
glad
let
to
me
know
add
that I
a list
wasn't,
of things to do over the
you're
next
not doing anything at
while.
all at the moment.
Now he's just trying
He's
to,
playing.
I'm glad to know that I wasn't the complete dummy.
No,
No,
you're not
but
the
I
complete
mean, but I
dummy.
mean, to me, it isn't that big a deal to drag it to the desktop and then drag it
Well,
over.
yeah, but.
So it's,
yeah.
it's,
It's a
it's
two-step
probably, I'm guessing, but it's probably because it's inside a database in photos.
I don't care.
If the plus shows up,
If
it
it can go to
should
the
work.
Finder, it should be able to go anywhere else.
Yeah, should.
And the plus is.
And it does if you drag it to the Finder and then
Right.
drag it over.
Right, but
so.
who wants to do that? I get that. No, obviously there's
Well, that's a limitation
58,000
I
ways
didn't
to
know.
skin a
I
cat.
never would have used it that way, but that's a limitation I
Well,
didn't know I
then
had.
let's ask the question another way.
Yeah.
What's the most efficient way to get
Well, I don't have graphic converter, I've got a download.
Go ahead.
photos into a Word document?
Well, I would just, if I was to want that, I would just do a drag. I mean, you're right. And I don't, I'm not a big photos application person, so I hadn't seen it, done it, tried it, and everything else. And I just would have gone down the path that, you know, we just did here to figure out what it is. Why it is in there, I don't know. Greg will tell us in a moment.
Okay.
I mean, yes,
Similar type question.
yeah.
My wife had a MacBook, old model, 10.5.8. I bought her a new, using OS 10.5.8, and bought a new one for Christmas. And now she wants to transfer all of her stuff out of the old one into the new one, and it won't take it. How do you best transfer files, like Word files,
Yeah.
into the new one running Yosemite from the old 10.5.8, which was Leopard?
Okay, I don't care about the operating systems here.
Migration system.
It's not
Because-
taking it.
Pardon me?
Yeah, it's not taking the files, she's trying to transfer them from the old one to the new one.
Okay, do you have a network? Do you have the two computers physically connected? Or are they on a wireless or wired or what?
Oh, well, we can, I mean, you could take a USB to USB.
No. I'm talking about a Cat5 from one to the other, or a Cat5 from each one into a switch or something of that sort, and or on the same wireless network.
Wireless network, yeah.
Okay, we've got a wireless network?
Yeah.
They're both connected to a wireless network. Okay, once, if Greg goes back to
Here,
the
they're telling you right here.
Yeah,
In Photos, select the images you want to export and go File, Export, Export, Unmodified Originals, puts them in the Finder, then add them to iPhoto. That isn't where I wanted.
well, export is, that's what you did when you dragged the track.
Essentially, when you drag it to
Finder.
Finder, that's what you're doing, yeah.
Right, this puts them in the Finder. So you don't have to go file export, just drag the frickin' thing.
Well, yeah, but I think they were trying to get people in the structure of doing it the way it was meant to be done, as opposed to the Apple convenient way.
Oh, well, yeah, but I don't.
Besides that, if you were Steve, you wouldn't be able to find it once you drag it to the
That
desktop.
format is for people who write books.
He has so much clutter on his desktop, you'd never find
Of
him.
course not, it's layered on top of layered.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I knew I could get a shot in there somewhere.
Somebody come and help me out.
See, you gotta create a folder on the desktop that says,
I know.
stuff on the
Desktop
desktop, and you grab everything and throw it in there.
Yeah,
And once a
because
year
once
you
I
do
know what
that.
happened,
Once a
then
year,
it's gonna just build up again.
that's okay. That's, stuff on the desktop folder can have lots of stuff in there. Anyways,
Okay,
point
what do you want me
is,
to do? What do you
if
want
you
me to
go
do?
back to the Finder, please.
I
And
don't-
on the Finder, we've got this thing, devices. And if things are on the same network, you should be able to see a devices folder. Because the bottom one is just a DMG and the other one is a SD card. But if he was, well, you're on a wireless network here, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm just
but it
wondering-
may be restricted, Robert.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, if you're on a unlocked, if you're into a file sharing, am I thinking PC?
AirDrop works.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make it easy as pie here.
I think on the old computer, she had Word, but on the new computer, she
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
have Word.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
You need to upgrade Word.
Okay, go to system preferences.
Oh, the new 360 thing?
It was already open. I thought.
Lot program.
I closed it.
And all buttons, and then sharing, and then file sharing. You've got, click on file sharing just once. Okay. This one here says that those folders can be accessed by other people on this network. Okay? So if you go to file sharing, turn on file sharing, you can specifically share that whole Mac, or you can specifically share particular folders. And once those folders are being shared, they will appear in the devices thing, so other people on that network can get there. So you now open a folder window in one, Finder window in one device, and a Finder window in the other device, and just drag across.
I had that same thing, similar thing happen. I'm working downstairs in my office, all my iTunes is upstairs, okay? I haven't gotten this new phone with all my stuff back into it yet, I mean music. So I said to my son, I says, hey, isn't there a way to play what I have upstairs on the phone? So I just have some, music to work by. And using this same kind of thing is in my iPhone, it will show up the connected devices, and through a myriad of a couple of little clicks, I'm able to access my whole, or my wife's, or my son's, or my daughter's, music library. It works with the same idea, similar process. Greg, I looked up Little Snitch to download it.
Yeah.
On the App Store, they don't show it.
It may not be in the App
No,
Store.
it won't be in the App Store because it's getting around Apple's safety feature.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not why.
But it's available from Little Snitch,
Right.
Objective
Okay.
Development.
As time goes on here, you're gonna find more and more things that are not in the Apple Store. Because the Apple Store wants a percentage of everybody that sells anything in the Apple Store. And in the Apple Store, it will have to be vetted by Apple Corp, and Apple Corp doesn't want certain things to be available.
If they're playing games to hack past something,
Right,
Apple doesn't want to be responsible for that.
right,
So it won't be in the App Store.
right. So
Plus the
there-
30%. It
Yeah,
won't be
right.
30%.
But so there's many apps that are only available on a developer's website.
And there's also apps that are available both ways. I mean, here's a good example. I own Fantastical for both the iPhone, iPad, and the Mac. And I bought it directly from the Fantastical people. It's now available in the App Store.
Right.
So if I want to get it from the App Store, I have to rebuy it again because it's disconnected with the company.
Right.
Buying it from another vendor, basically, is what I'm doing.
Right.
Hell with it, I don't mind. I'll buy it from the company I buy. I still get all the same privileges.
Right,
The App Store has the convenience, a lot of people don't realize this, the App Store has the convenience that if you buy it through the App Store, all the Macs with up to what, 6 or something like that,
In your house.
in your house can use it for the same one cost price.
right. You
It
purchased
doesn't
it,
necessarily work that way when you buy from the vendor.
right, you buy from the vendor, it may be limited to a single Mac. So there's certain differences there. You can find things you can't find in the Apple Store, and sometimes some companies, they won't sell it at all there just because they don't want to give away any of the monies from it.
Yeah, what I do is I go look at, first off, I go look and see if the version in the App Store and from the vendor is the same version.
Right.
Because sometimes the App Store is a version down. But then the second thing I look at is I look to see if it's available in the App Store before I buy it from the vendor. Because I'd much rather, that way if I delete it off my system, I can get it anytime I want to, a year or two from now, because it's in my purchased category. And you can't always do that with some vendors. Then some vendors, you have to pay an extra $5 or $10 for the privilege of getting it at a later time.
Right, right. So they're not going to be kept in sync, and you go to the Apple Store. If you go to the App Store, they'll tell you that you've got updates available and all that kind of stuff to download of the stuff that you've purchased there. So that's a worthy difference as well to be aware of. Okay. All right, we had a couple other people that were, okay, cool, covered all that.
They made it sound like, if I read this right, it looks to me like there might be something we can do inside of Word to make that ability.
It looked like Word was not accepting it because once you saw
Well,
the
neither
plus.
did text edit though.
Oh.
No, you didn't drag it direct to text, I think you did
Is
it
text edited graph?
to the desk.
Yeah, because I take it from the desktop and took it.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Okay, anyways, all right. Let's see. We're talking about time machine. You know, it's File Vault. Anybody using File Vault?
Using what?
Good. I like that. File Vault. File Vault.
What's good? We're not using it?
They're not using it. Why? Because it means all the foil hats are not in the room.
Well, that's-
The File Vault.
Necessarily true.
Pardon me?
That's not necessarily
Well, I know
true.
you hide yours well. That's fine. You have bigger sombrero going on. File Vault. It's essentially a method to encrypt a folder or to a hard drive. And personally, it's like if you put the best of locks on your house, it's really great until you lose your key, then you can't get back in. So, I mean, it's problematic. I'm not saying leave all your doors and windows open, but I'm saying, you know, don't make it foolproof such that the locksmith comes out and says, well, you know, I'm gonna have to go back to the shop and bring 5 guys to open it up.
Okay.
And you're gonna have to charge me and maybe you'll get in. A file vault is a method to encrypt, and if forget your passwords,
Oh,
you're out of
gosh.
luck. There's just no other way in.
So if it's on, turn it off.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know, there's very few people, Business Incorporated included, that would deal with that. Okay, we talked about a guy that got a message that says, hey, do this and we'll fix your computer because you have a problem with it. Recognize that even,
Big mice,
pardon me?
big mice.
Big mice, yeah. Even on Macs, there is the ability to, as we just said with FileVault, to encrypt stuff. And if you allow someone else to remotely come onto your computer, and or to encourage you to run an application that you're choosing to run, that you actually can encrypt your computer. And encrypt it in ways that somebody else encrypts it and they have the key and you don't have the key, you will be able to unencrypt it. And for businesses, which are mostly PCs, it is a very pervasive issue at the moment. That over the net, companies come in and set a time bomb and it encrypts it, then everybody goes on and says, hey, you can't get on unless you pay us X number of dollars ransomware and bitcoins and everything else. Point is, on the Mac, you're significantly aware, you're significantly unsusceptible to this kind of event. But you certainly have the ability, as we have FileVault, to encrypt stuff. So people could trick you to encrypting it. And so, it all gets back to, again, backups. Have a backup. Backups are so the drives we're having on backups are so darn cheap that if you have a backup and it's unattached to your computer, it's detached, it's either on a flash drive or wherever it is, it will be good to go to be able to go and get that. And have multiple backups, because one backup might have this kind of virus or whatever, not a virus, a program that is doing the encryption. So that kind of thing, I've seen that, I've seen my clients recently burned by that kind of thing, and I just can't let that go without being said.
I'd like to add,
Yes.
when you do a time machine backup and or a clone, which I, I'm really paranoid, so I do it. And if you're going to do like a system update, physically, after you've tested everything, you back up, physically unplug those external drives before you do the system backup, or system upgrade. Because otherwise, once in a while, you'll have the wrong disk.
Well, you've hit upon a very valid point in that when you do this backup,
Especially if you've named them all the same, that's a problem, yeah.
well, right, naming
But
is
I make a unique name so that
Yeah.
when it comes up in the little, when you hold down the option key and you see the
Right.
choices there.
right. Naming is of value. But the point is, when you do a backup before some significant event, you've got this backup, and you do this significant event, some people think, oh, I've done some significant event, let me back it up again. And they back it up on top of what they're,
Yeah.
with the good stuff. And then they find out they've got a problem. Well, now they have a backup of the problem. So, again, when you've done some significant event, use that for a period of time, be happy with it, be satisfied with it, swear by it, and then back it up.
Right.
Okay. Now then I'm talking about for the people who want to have just one backup and be done with it. And then that's kind of okay under the circumstances, But if you do have the option to have multiple backups, then that's not the problem. But the issue is, all of that kind of stuff always needs to be dated, and don't back up a problem before you know you have the problem.
Robert,
yes.
going with that, many people, they take and they save stuff, and you know that on the file menu, save and save as. So what happens is you open a document and you make some changes to it, and then you go say save. Or you click the little disk on the top of the Finder window, and what happens is, if you say save, it will save over the other one, okay? And if you want to track, like say you want to know when these changes were made, then you've got to do a save as and give it a different name, like pen the date or append a version or something like that is done in save as, because I bet you many people say, oh, I thought I was saving copies, but it's not. It's save as, you name it, something that you'll remember.
There is an exception to that, Steve. If you are using Time Machine makes incremental backups.
Oh, time
So if
machine,
you've got the
yes.
time, if you've got the, excuse the pun, timing right,
Right,
and you open up a file that you worked on last night, and now, and you wanted a new copy, and so now you work on it again and you do a save, and you've overwritten the copy that's there, your local copy is the latest version, and you've lost any reference, like you said, to the last version, but Time Machine still has yesterday's version on it. If
Yeah,
everything's
oh, yeah.
working properly.
yeah. Mhm.
And if you're using Apple's product like Pages or Numbers, whatever, and you save, each time you save it, it will make an extra, another, that's another version.
Yeah,
You can
Apple,
revert.
Apple software does.
Apple software, yeah.
Unfortunately, part of the problem with that is that as much as we might love these new features, our mind can be tricked into thinking that that's going to happen universally over all the apps that we
Right.
use.
Right,
And we kind of get used to it, and then someday we say, what do you mean it didn't do it?
yeah.
You know, we kind of make assumptions. And so it can be dangerous to make assumptions to believe that everything is working the way we'd like it to, or that we expected it to. And that's where just regular backups and all that kind of stuff is gonna help. All right, so what did you find out for our photos?
as far as I can tell, it doesn't do it. I'll have to play with it at home.
Okay,
You
we
have
don't know really
iPhone on there?
No,
Okay.
I suspect it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
That somehow Word does not recognize, it recognizes the header as being, hey, this is a legitimate file, I should be able to take this, but doesn't know what to do with it.
Right, which may
And the
mean,
Finder fixes the problem somehow.
correct, the header might be there, the rest of it that isn't, maybe not be there. Yes, sir.
I might have something on this. Photo, what is the file extension from photo? Is it JPEG or JPG, or is it something else? What kind of file does it make?
I have no idea, I've never bothered to look.
Well,
Because maybe what I'm thinking of is
No, it
this.
shouldn't have
I've
any
had-
bearing on it.
Go to the photos library, I guess.
Yeah, I've had issues before where, with various programs, where I've had to change, Mac uses JPG
Okay.
as the footer, as the end on there. And I've had some situations where I've had to go in manually and just make it JPG in order for it to work with some programs.
I hear what you're saying, in that some poor programming, they may not have recognized all of the different versions of an extensions that it could be, that have to be pegged. Because in many programs, programming environments, you have to say, okay, filter in an open dialog. When somebody says open something, the developer says, okay, display files with these extensions. And if they leave something off the list, then that kind of thing isn't going to be undimmed and available. So that's sometimes just something, and sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes they do case sensitivity. The open file dialog may be sensitive to capitalization differences. Now, they shouldn't be, but it sometimes is. Yes, sir.
I was just playing around too here, and I tried dragging a photo from Photos into Word, and it wouldn't go.
Okay.
But I tried dragging it from Photos into Pages, I got the green plus, and it worked fine.
Right,
So
right.
it must be
Well,
it.
it's Apple talking to Apple.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know what version of Word, but sometimes,
It's the latest,
okay,
latest one.
sometimes they screw up when they do things in a new version, and they forgot to do X, and so, which it still doesn't narrow down really that it's the Word side of the photo side, but Photos is a recent update and everything else, and for your security, they might have removed some kinds of features, but I can't. I'm not going to say that's an intentional thing. You know, and we were talking about somebody's on the phone for. Could you give us in 2 sentences what caused? What?
JPG. they're
JPG, which is
using-
the more universal
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
All lowercase as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which what was in 2 sentences? What was the cause of your 8-hour conversation?
What happened was that I couldn't get the thing to play with the iCloud.
Okay, it wasn't interacting properly with
I couldn't
iCloud.
get it to go there, plus, a good part of the time was, you know, I forgot the program where they can look at your screen and.
The right screen sharing, yeah.
Remote access.
They had a hell of a time figuring out, there was some sort of bug or something, some glitch somewhere, and he had a hell of a time figuring out how to get the thing to work so he could look at my screen and actually work
Well,
on
the thing is,
Interesting.
I've called for service help one time till, you know, done the, Google find and can't find it, I talked to Gray, I can't find it, I talked to Robert. Finally, so I take, and I was saying, why is the screen so, oversaturated and stuff? And I checked everything I could think of, called Apple, they were very nice, and they gave me level 1. Started with level 1 for an hour, and level 2. And they took control of my computer. They wanted me to send them the files or send them whatever. And they said, no, we still can't find it. And they said, we're gonna push it up to the engineer above it. And finally, he comes back and the other 2 guys were red-faced, that it was something in, the,
Monitors preferences?
Accessible.
no, the accessibility.
Okay.
And so, you know, you'll get good help and sometimes they may have to say,
And
I have to pick it up higher.
the trick is that they usually have a database that they're researching.
Oh, yeah.
That really tells them all this kind of stuff, because in accessibility, sometimes that'll invert things. And remote control programs, TeamViewer and others, will often set things like the backgrounds to solid colors and stuff, because it then transfers faster and it can recognize areas that have changed. So it only is refreshing those parts of the screen that have changed. It makes for much better, faster. And sometimes those get lost and don't get removed after that connection has been ended. So sometimes it just gets down to a restart necessary, or sometimes even, you know, silly things like RAM.
And phone, when you're taking and you're on your phone and bang, 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 it's not recognize you. And it's like, very simple. Try and shut it down without holding down the home button. Try shutting it down and then powering it back up again, and the problem goes away. Same as with our computers, we've done for years. If we get hung up, we restart and it's fixed.
You know, next month I'm trying to look at the stuff that I don't like to get overly deep in stuff that many people just couldn't care about. I mean, VPN and stuff like that. The Mac has significant VPN capabilities, but most people here probably won't have a need for VPN type of stuff. You know, we could get into managing file vault. I'm in general going to say stay away from file vault. You know, it's got, you know, we've got managing system security. We could really get into deep with this kind of stuff. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to pick a focus for next month that is generally interesting and will be of a value to the majority of people here.
Why don't you
Yes.
read off the different
Well,
things?
yeah.
You know, the chapter markers.
Sure. We've got install, setup of OXX and updating. We've got managing user accounts, which is home folders, system security, keychains. File systems, storage, file vault, permissions and sharing. We've got data management, which is hidden items, which can be of interest. Shortcuts, file archives, metadata and spotlight, managing time machine.
Now, Robert, you mentioned something about the, what was it, the keychains?
Keychains.
And the stuff like that.
Keychains can be overly complex, and until you have a problem, you don't care.
Yeah.
You want to let keychains manage themselves. The worst thing you can do is go in and muck with them and muck them up. So I would be careful on touching keychains. I don't like to tell people to play with things that can hurt them. I like to let you hurt yourself and then come in and we'll take care of it. Installing applications, managing troubleshoot applications. We all know how to do that kind of stuff. Network configuration. If it works, move on. If it doesn't, you do it. You figure out one time and you get it fixed. You move on. Network services, managing network services, host sharing, personal firewall. Again, you kind of set it up, it works, leave it alone. System management, troubleshooting peripherals, which is what we do every month. Managing printing and scanning, which we kind of try to figure out. And troubleshooting startup initial system issues. Again, the beginning of every session we talk about someone's startup or system issues and stuff like that. So it's really in-depth on how to support all of that kind of stuff. And that's where, you know, when you have an issue, I may not personally have dealt with it, but I know how that works. And so we can walk that through, talk that through. So in essence, it's a great book for someone that has to support or service people with problems. But on the other hand, it's not what everybody needs to know or you'll bother to care to remember because you just don't do it. So anyways, next month I'm going to give away $10. And then in a couple months I'll give away $10 because it's a nice store style. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what app are you using that shows the floating blue arrow on
On the screen?
Yeah.
Greg is using?
Oh, that's the help, that's the built-in help feature.
Oh, okay.
So like when you come over here, like if I'm looking for, hey, how do I edit the file info? See the arrow's pointing right to,
Oh,
that's
okay.
just built into help.
Enable that by where?
That's built into the help of this particular application.
Oh, what
This is
app?
graphic converter.
Oh, graphic.
9.
Okay, they're making use of it.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So Apple doesn't, this is Apple down here.
Right.
But
Yeah.
a lot of companies use this feature here to point to where, you wanna know where, well, how do I change the format?
Yeah.
So you type in the word format, you know, in their help search up here.
It's interesting, he's showing off graphic converter there. I used to know nothing about graphics, and over time I've had to learn them. And graphic converter is an amazing program, but it has so much in there, I could go and talk about something that most people might not need to know about. But that's a great question actually, is to say, are there things that you would like to do with graphics that you just haven't bothered to take the time to figure out? Here's a gentleman, you know, is scanning his pictures and stuff like that. Once you've got a picture, in essence, what I have learned is what I do a lot with pictures is I crop them and resize them and scale them and format them as different file names and all that kind of stuff. So some of the stuff that I do, I think I'm going to do, and we're going to show off graphic converter next time because it's shareware, which means you can try it and play with it, and it'll never stop working, but it'll last that it's donateware. And it's one of those that I think he's just done a phenomenal job, and I will always upgrade each and every time it becomes available. Because it is the go-to program if you deal with graphics. And even I do graphics.
My son has taken it
Yeah,
on.
look at this, it actually opens up Palm Pilot for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so amazing. It's such a range of capabilities.
But
Yes, sir.
as I was starting to say, my son doesn't use iPhoto or any of that stuff. He has taken on graphic converter for storing all his pictures.
Right. Graphic and, yeah.
It has a certain thing that he likes that, you know, I have no clue. And also, just to mention before you run out, my son came to me and he says, Dad, you know, we're stuck here. We both have the exact same Mac Pro, and it will not do anything higher than 10.6 because it's a 2006. Well, he found a way, and he's vetted it out as far as what there's a patch or EFI. You know what an EFI is?
Electronic
Interference.
firmware, something, I forget what it means.
Anyway, he has downloaded that and installed.
It's a hack.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an operating
But
system hack.
he is updated to, what was the Yosemite,
Okay.
and he's been running it for a couple of months.
Usually the
now.
only reason that Apple does that is because some function doesn't work the way they want it to.
I know, but you look at all
So,
the
cause they've done
people,
this, that trick has been around for a long time, where like, you had a 800 megahertz G4 chip, and it needed a 1000 megahertz G4 chip. Well, let's face it, in reality, it's the same instruction set, so it just would take longer.
Yeah.
So people would come up with some kind of a little upfront hack to fake Apple out into letting the newer operating system upload. there's some reason that Apple doesn't wanna do it, some people say it's because they wanna sell you the new hardware, I don't necessarily.
That's the thing.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think it doesn't meet their quote standards.
Right.
And so if it doesn't meet their standards, they don't want to be answering questions on the phone for something that, for all practical purposes, shouldn't be working as far as they're concerned.
I see.
So I don't think that's an issue. Your cable.
Yeah, there is often things that are involved with an operating system beyond what you might be aware of, the way it works. I have a developer friend, and he wrote an application, and it's not multi-threaded. It's still in the old days. And on our computers, you'll have a multi-core processor. So one processor, it'll have different cores that are doing work. And
Here's a good
the up-to-date
example.
applications will be able to use multiple cores at the same time. And if a computer, if an application is only using one core, while it's doing one thing, it cannot do another. While it's processing information, it can't be talking to you and allowing you to open up menus and other stuff.
On the screen behind you.
Okay. So an older application will only use one core at a time. Well, as a core is heavily used, it heats up. And the operating system will take a single core application and move its processes over to a different core behind the back of the application and use a different core to keep the computer cooler. And the developers of an application are totally unaware that this is going on and surprised that this is going on, that the operating system would be smart enough to pick up that information and move it amongst different cores merely for the benefits of heating. So there's a lot going on there.
Well, if you have something like a 4-core and you're using one, it's gonna be heated in a different pattern and cause, stress things.
Right. So the newer applications are using multiple cores, and one core may be 100% busy with a process from an application, while another core is the finder talking to you. That's why you can easily switch amongst and get, good response and everything else. Since even though one program is doing something, it doesn't mean everybody is busy. So there you go. All right, I got to run today.
Get
Just roll it
yourself a
over.
rolling thing.
Yeah. I know this is. I switch over and I build up.
I just got one quick
Yes,
comment.
what you got? Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
People invariably, almost everybody I've talked to have multiple files with the same name because they made a change to it and saved it.
Okay.
So they got 2 files or 3 or 4 or 5.
Right.
But how you differentiate or how you know which one and to get them to sort. Real simple solution.
Right. Yes.
You take and tack on to the end of the file name.
No, the beginning of the file name.
No, it's got to be on the end of it. Otherwise, it's not going to sort all those file names together.
No, I want all the beginning. Real quick, Greg. Take any file there and name it, rename it, and rename it 160206 dash dot something.
Yeah, but
No,
see,
click
that's going
up
to sort
arrow,
by the
up
number.
arrow.
in front.
No.
Just a night core.
Take the whole thing out. Take all of the characters out.
Including the MP,
Everything
the
out.
extension.
Everything out, and hit return. Okay, click again. Up arrow.
That puts you at the beginning.
160205 dot. Here, return. Okay, now when he goes and makes a change to that, tomorrow he names it 160206, and then the next day 160210. And then one day he says, wow, I have all these versions, I don't need all of these older versions, and he tries them all together. Because to keep all of that file stuff together, yet at the same time, he can also sort by dates and see, oh, I don't need anything back in the 14s. I don't need anything back then. So it both keeps the names together within regard to a file, and it also allows them all to be up.
Yeah, but
The
for
only
a fact, it
problem
would
with
do
that-
that at the end of the file name as well, because the front part of the file name is exactly the same.
Okay,
Yeah,
when
So
so
I'm
I'm
if
dealing
you-
with stuff,
So
would
if
you
I want
rather
to go
look
be
at-
Sharon Stone, whatever,
But
and I
would
change
you
the
rather
extension
look-
at the.
Right. Would you rather look at the left and have all the numbers there, or you have to go over to the right? and find-
one is
Me
for
personally, I
version.
want to see the name.
Okay.
I don't care about the date.
One is for version, and one is for how viable it is as a file.
Right.
If you're doing versions
the
at the
reason-
end, the right.
Okay, the reason for putting the number on the end.
Yeah.
And don't use the standard
Okay.
month, day, year, you
Okay.
put the year in front.
Yes, that's what we did,
Year,
1/6.
month, day, don't bother with slashes, and just
That's right.
tack that on the end of the file name. From then on, when you sort it by file name,
Right.
bang, it'll all be right there together.
I get
and sorted in the
that.
right
One is
sequence.
for grouping the file names and one is for getting rid of old stuff.
Well,
Isn't it nice that we can all make the
looking at it.
decisions on
But
our
now
own
that
to
they're
do
right
it
there
the way
together,
we
you say
want
which one.
to?
Excellent idea, thank you.
Bart, did you hear what Greg said?
No.
Okay. Isn't it nice that we can all decide how we want to handle it?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I was just making that comment
Okay.
because everybody I've talked to mentioned it, they all get excited about it.
Well, the thing is those of us who have done it
They
for
don't lead
years
much of a
and stuff,
life, do they?
it's like, you know, you pick what you want. If it works for you, it's great. If it doesn't work for you, get help. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna show a couple of fun things first before we go any further.
Okay.
Hi, Shimshi. I don't know, that picture made me think that you were a magician already with your hand about to, like, things were gonna come out of it or something. So nice to meet you. I've heard amazing things about you and
Oh, we saw this one. We showed this one.
And I saw what our next guest could do with an iPad. I was blown away all the way from Germany. Please welcome magician Simon Piero. I saw something that was on EllenTube, I think, but I have not seen what you're doing today. I'm going to be surprised.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks for being here.
So you might be surprised about a couple of things that I found out with the iPad. I don't know if that ever happened to you, but if you go through like this might happen. So, if it does, don't worry, it's no software problem or anything. This is just
I love the look on her face, she's lost.
Okay.
So, can you see that string
Yes.
here? Good.
Right.
Thanks to this string, I stop it, and I do have access to a whole new set of new apps, all with a incredible logo. So thanks to this string, I can actually show you my last 2,000 pictures. Don't worry, I won't show you all of them, Alan. I'll just show you the overview, because that way I can easily print them. Which is fantastic. My parents, they do not have an iPad. So I just put it on a postcard and send it back all the way to Germany. But before I do so, I always make a copy, otherwise the data might get lost. I know this app doesn't make any sense, but it's fun. And I think FaceTime is as well. So let me call a friend of mine. I hope he's ready. If you are too, that is you.
Yes.
The audience. And hi Christoph, can you hear me? Okay, are you ready? Please do your best, I'm at Alan. Okay, right there. Yes? Perfect, so thanks to this straw here, I can easily... yes. Alan, thanks to this straw, I can share not only music, videos, but also code. It's excellent, but I can also give something back. He doesn't know about that. Some coconut milk from California. 1 second, please. And here we go. Milk is coming. Okay, as you can see, it's still a prototype, but it worked. Please give a hand to Chris. Alan, this iPad is also a very good hiding place to hide stuff. For example, for today, I have this, let me find it, it's well secured over here. On the third page, I'm hiding for today an Allen pen. So here we go, because I'm gonna need that in a second. And as Neil Patrick Harris just reminded us that you are the queen of selfies, I wanted to create an app just for you. And that's what I did. So what I do now, I go into the audience. I will come back in a second.
Okay.
So what a beautiful audience. Right over there. Hi. So what about these two beautiful ladies? Would you join me on a selfie? So please come a bit closer. Turn the camera around, and you're ready to. And smile. I do some. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. And now, I can show you how your app will work. This is the Ellen selfie. I just take one of the last pictures, one of the few pictures I made, and here it is. This is how the app looks like. This is how my grandmother's picture frame looks like. And now I need your help on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And there it is, and this is not another iPad, this is a real life.
Unbelievable! I'm trying to find out more about Simon. If you have an amazing magic act you want me to see, please post it on Ellen too. We'll be right back. Wow!
I just thought that was really impressive.
That was cool, very cool.
I wonder how they do that, Trey.
Well, most of it, I've seen other iPad and iPhone magicians, and most of it's tiny. They put together even could be as simple as a, not PowerPoint, what am I thinking, a keynote.
Yeah.
A keynote presentation that they've timed exactly, so he's got to put his hand there at the right time. He's got to do everything. He's palming the straw and the pen and all that stuff. You can see the way he's holding his hand, but he's done it so flawlessly that you don't need to see what it is. So I think it's a pre-recorded keynote or a QuickTime movie or whatever it is that's playing on the screen. Now how he did the last one, I don't know. The only thing I can think of, those two are plants that he put in the audience earlier in the day, printed the image, had them lined up that way, printed the image, had it ready to go in the back. Throw the image over onto the iPad, that's doable, I can see that one. But how he had the hard copy ready to go, I don't know.
How about their bill?
Oh, that's easy enough. That's one of those, you can buy those at a magic shop. The glass milk container that you pour and it looks like you're pouring it into the newspaper or whatever it is, but it's actually going into an inner sleeve or whatever inside the container itself. So he's just got that timed with his friend to dump the milk on him when he does whatever keyword or whatever he's used. It's just that it's so well executed.
Back in the 60s, we used to own a toy store in my family, and there was a baby bottle. And you take and you go like that, and you'd see the milk go down, and you turn it back up, and it's like done. You know, they're available. They're magic, commercially available.
But that's a clever way of utilizing it.
You got one more?
That you can show.
I'm trying to think of one that's a good one to see.
No, I guess not.
What was that, Ellen too? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's actually on YouTube, and you can just type in. I was just looking for anything iPhone or iPad related that would be a good one to show.
Acer Computers hosted their big keynote event. Ladies and gentlemen, here are some highlights from the Acer keynote.
Hey everybody, we're just about to get started here. Just a quick note, brief sprint. If we could keep those to 2 per person, that would be great. Please welcome now Acer President and CEO Ron Bad.
We've outdone ourselves with the Acer Aspire X7. No confetti? So anyway, it's got a 9 gig hard drive. It's got free YouTube. Boom! Built-in, one-touch access to AOL. You got mail. And we have lengthened the power cord by almost 4 inches. Check it out. Built-in pill cap. Who knows? It's always there. That was from my bursitis. The X7 has a built-in, state-of-the-art cassette deck with auto reverse. Plus, here's something pretty neat. Align all new denim carrying cases. About acid wash. Appreciate the feedback. Okay, well, that was going to be our big finish, so why don't I just bring out the entertainment, huh? What up, my ninjas? Pow, pow! I shot you, then I banged your mom!
quite as good as the Apple keynotes.
No.
I just love spoofs like that. Steve, do you have a lightning to USB cable? Because I need to borrow one here, otherwise I can't plug this in. Everybody had a good holidays, I should say.
Anybody got a lightning or, charger?
You don't have to borrow for a few minutes?
You need the charger too?
No, just the lightning to USB.
I'll get it.
See.
Thank you.
Lightning cord.
And if people are wondering why I'm hobbling,
Taking great luck lessons.
I took once a year, we go up to my wife's sister, it's in Sammamish by Seattle, and then going home, we took this route through a place called Snoqualmie. They have some beautiful, beautiful falls in Snoqualmie. And so what happened is, we couldn't find a parking spot. I mean, it was packed. The whole time we were there, sun and warm, it was unbelievable. And so we go down through the city, and they got a train, if you're interested in trains, they got this train museum, and they've refurbished old cars and locomotives and stuff. And so what happened was, as we got out, we looked around, and then to go get out of where the trains are, you have to go all the way down to a street, come out, and then you go this way to your car. So I figured, oh, I'll be smart. There's this nice little rail there, a little fence that's this high, and then on the side it's this high. So I figured, okay, I'll just hop over that. Great, now it gets me to this platform, like a train platform. The two sides go down like this, and the center section goes straight. And I came walking straight, and I never do that again. Oh, so I called the city and I says, you need to put a yellow stripe there or something, but that's the only thing that still hurts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Inside your pride.
Okay, we got that. Greg?
Yeah, just a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, usually when you get to be in, it's when you start walking that way.
Oh, no. Well, I said to somebody, I says, well, usually if I fall, like if I'm working in the yard or something like that, and I'm working in a tight area and I lose my balance, I roll, and I don't get hurt. This thing,
Yeah.
no chance. I mean, it came on so suddenly.
Okay.
First off, I got a new toy for Christmas, for the holidays.
Oh.
Watch. These were, I don't know whether anybody paid attention to Best Buy and B&H Photo, but through Best Buy, you get it for, this is the gold anodized sport edition, and it was $303, so it was almost $100 off the price.
Wow.
Retail price.
Wow.
Now, of course, it came with Apple's band, and their bands, I think, are incredibly overpriced. And along with the rest of me, the wrist is bigger than normal, so of course, they now make the white and the black elastom rubber bands. I call them rubber, but elastomer or whatever the hell they call it. When you buy that band, it comes with a shorter segment and a longer segment for people with bigger wrists. But they only offered in white and black. So I did buy a white one because the band looked pretty good in white. But I bought this black Milanese loop, which Apple has announced that they're going to come out with, for their stainless steel or their brushed metal loops that are magnetic. They want $150. $18 from Amazon!
Hey.
So I got a gold one and I got a black one because I don't know if anybody's played with it or not, but you can change bands on these things in about 15, 20 seconds, something like that. And the first thing my wife said is, well, it'll probably wear out faster. I said, yeah, you know what, for $18, what do I care? I'll buy another one. So there's rumors that there might be a new watch that they show at the March 15th, that's the supposed date now, is the Ides of March, March 15th, supposedly will be the next major Apple announcement. And the rumors are 9.3, which is iOS right now, which is out in beta format, they'll probably release it that day. They like to kind of do stuff like that on an announcement day. That'll give them enough time to probably even get maybe even a 9.4 out between now and then. for beta testing? Probably not. It'll probably still be 9.3. And they're probably gonna introduce, the rumor is an iPad Air 3. Since the 2's out right now, the 3, the rumor is that it will have the same capabilities as the iPad Pro. In other words, it'll have that same screen. It'll definitely have 4 speakers in it, similar to they won't be as robust as the iPad Pro because of space limitations, but it'll have speakers in all 4 corners. So again, when you instead of just having the 2 speakers down here at the bottom, when you rotate this, and all 4 speakers work, but the 2 at the bottom are the primary ones on the iPad Pro. So it'll give a little bit better sound out of it. It'll come with 9.3, but the main thing is they'll be able to sell you the $100 Apple Pencil, which seems to be still in short supply. For anybody who likes this size tablet, but wants the drawing capabilities and features that the iPad Pro has. And the iPad Pro is doing pretty well, with the exception of the pen limitation. It seems to be selling pretty well. And there might be an iPad Watch 2, nobody knows for sure, shown there. And the rumor on that is, if there is, the 2 things that it might have is maybe a little bit better battery life, although I get to run this disk. It always seems to have about 30–40% at the end of the day. It's probably because of the display I use. Apple uses the organic LED, the OLED display inside the watch, which only lights up pixels that need to be lit up. Whereas, unlike the iPad or the iPhone, which are conventional LEDs, that lights up the entire screen. So if I only had one icon here on the screen, or a star, I'm powering the whole backlit feature behind it, energy-wise, to illuminate that one star. In the case of this, I'm only powering what's right behind the LEDs that are illuminated. So battery conservation is pretty good. So there's a couple of rumors that they say that it may have a little bit battery life. They may have an always on option if they get the battery problem solved. I can tell right away if I switch to the Mickey Mouse, which I love looking at the Mickey Mouse, the battery wears down faster because it's illuminating a lot more pixels in order to be able to have the animation stuff. And it may also have a FaceTime camera built into it. As much as I like FaceTime, I hardly have anybody who ever uses it, so it seemed like a really great idea that nobody, and of course Apple just got sued for it. Really, that thing that you sent me was on the FaceTime.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Well, supposedly they stole some technology from somebody else. They'll fight it. Apple always fights it.
Yeah.
But this company's Vertnex, or whatever they're called, is basically a patent troll. They go after things they can steal from other people. They go by. They patented all kinds of ideas and never bothered to produce an item.
Built it.
Okay, yeah.
Wish we'd
They just patent the idea.
put a law out against something like that, that if you don't have 6 months worth of effort at it, you don't get to claim that idea as yours. But because Apple's got, I don't know, a couple hundred patents that are floating out there that people say that they've invented, and Apple's supposedly being dinged for it. But they hang on, they fight them to the very end, they don't care. So it may have a FaceTime camera, which would be kind of nice, I guess, I don't know. My opinion of the watch, I hadn't worn a watch in about 5 years, ever since I got my first, ever since I got my Sony Treo, my first phone, semi-smartphone or whatever it was, because it was just one more thing to wear. But I really like this. It's got a couple of things that I really like. For one thing, I like complications, and I thought that was a stupid name, trying to figure out what that meant. Well, apparently Swiss engineers, years and years and years and years and years ago, when they started putting features like day and date or little mini timers or whatever it is, every one of those added a complication to the watch's mechanism, and that's where that term came from. So whenever you see a watch and they mention complications, it means it's got something more than telling time. And like I'm using one of the watch faces called Utility, so I'm showing the temperature local. Now this is reading this off of my iPhone. I'm reading the temperature local. It says it's 68 degrees right now. I'm seeing the date. I've got my initials on here. I use Fantastical on my Mac and my iPad and iPhone, so it's displaying Fantastical here. So it's saying right now I'm free, but at 12:30 it'll come up and say lunch, like I have to remember. And then I've also got a timer on here, and I have the timer set for 59 minutes because I usually at lunchtime at work I'll go out and sleep in my car for and I'll just set the timer for 59 minutes. And surprisingly, the alarm wakes me up, which really amazes me that it does.
Did you get 2 hours for lunch?
I'm sorry?
Did you get 2 hours for lunch?
No, now, 59 minutes. I set for 59 minutes. And so I like that capability a lot. A couple of things that they're taking a little getting used to was the stand every 10 minutes to the hour, it says stand. And as you can tell, I'm a picture of good health. I didn't do that hardly at all. It was not uncommon for me to come in at 7 in the morning and get busy with something and work until it was lunchtime. It was not uncommon for me to do that. Not only is that bad for everybody's health, but it's really bad for somebody who's as big as I am. So now, 10 minutes to the hour, I get a reminder to stand. And you have to stand and do something. You have to get up and walk around a little bit or whatever it is before it gives you credit for standing. So I come in notoriously, and at 7:50 I get up, and that's the first time I go over and bother to fill up a large container with water. If I don't bother to keep it at my desk, I won't drink enough water. And go get my first batch. I get like a 16-ounce cup of coffee in a thermal cup, so that'll last me the rest of the morning. And so I usually miss the 8:51, but usually the 9:51, it's about time to get rid of some of that coffee and water. And then at 10:50, it's time for me to go to lunch, and then I got it wired down. And so since I got the watch, I bought myself a blood pressure cuff that was something that I could do one-handed. I wanted to make sure it was something I could do one-handed. A lot of blood pressures that go around your arm up here, I need a larger cuff. And it's pretty difficult to do it one person. So this one's a wrist-based cuff. It was like $70, $60, something like that. And I check it every morning. And it holds 100 records, but anytime I want to, I push a button on the application on the iPhone, and it downloads those hundreds into the Apple Health app. So when I see one doctor, the endocrinologist, Monday morning, and then 2 weeks later I see the cardiologist and the regular doctor and the vision doctor. I took a whole day off to get all the doctor appointments in one shot, because I also bought myself it's from Withings, I think it is. They're Wi-Fi things. They make all kinds of Wi-Fi health-related accessories. They made a scale that would go high enough for me that talked to the watch. So now I get on the scale before I leave my bedroom every morning and check that, and it automatically updates it into the health app on the phone. Well, since Thanksgiving, I've lost 22 pounds, so I'm finally, for the first time in a long time, under 400. I'm going to get down to 225, which is my goal weight, over the next 2 years, one way or another. So I'm using a little program on here called Lose It, and I think it's Lose It, and it automatically talks to the watch and bugs me. For morning, I'm bad about eating breakfast. I usually just have coffee. But it bugs me at certain times that I've got preset in here for what did you have for meals. And it's bright enough that not only does it have a huge database of stuff that you can search on, but it's also can use the scanner here, so I can take a picture of anything that's got a barcode, and it puts that in there automatically. So it does a carbohydrate calorie counts from fat grams, all the stupid nutrition crap that's on a package. The only time it's a problem is when it's something you've created yourself. So you've got to kind of find an equivalent to it. But I can put in like creamed corn, and all the brands of creamed corn that anybody's ever, because every time you put it in here, you have the option to automatically update their database as well. Come up here and I can go through and pick something that looks similar to what it was. So I'm trying to keep under that caloric limit every day, and it bugs me when I don't. So maybe just staying on top of it, maybe those give me a little bit of incentive to do something about the wife thinks I'm nuts. Then again, she's the master of everything, being a health lover. So hey, it's a start. If it's a start in the right direction, maybe it'll work it along.
Your wife is a nurse, right?
Yeah, she's a nurse. So
Yeah.
at least she claims she's a nurse. Let me put it that way.
So you like the watch?
I like the watch a lot. I was really hesitant about it, so I've been due for about $300 plus. I bought 3 or 4 bands, but I bought third-party bands, and there must be 500 different brands of bands out there. And so far, I really like this style they call the Milanese loop. I like it the best because it accommodates almost any size wrist. And when they came out with the OS2 operating system on the watch. I think it was September, October when they came out with that version of the operating system. Supposedly it made a few tweaks, but one of the things it has is that the watch is laying, if you take the watch off and you lay it on its side with the buttons at the top, it becomes an alarm, it becomes a nighttime clock. When it's plugged into power, it automatically switches over. So that's why Apple brought out the $90 charger. Of course, it's got a $30 charger in it and that little flat little stand of theirs. But I bought a plastic little holder from Spigen, who makes all kinds of weird iPhone and Apple Watch accessories, for $8. That the charger could plug into the back of it, and then the watch would have a place to sit at night, and it becomes a green nighttime watch. I kind of wish I had an option to be on all night long, but you can reach over and touch it, and it stays on for 90 seconds and then shuts itself off. So you can see, if you're using the alarm on it, you can see right away you definitely have the alarm set. And the phone has the nice feature where you say the do not disturb unless it's an emergency kind of a deal. So that indicates on the watch, which is kind of cool. The Apple Pay feature on this is really slick. I can walk up to anything that's got Apple Pay and literally just hold the button down here at the bottom for a second or two, put my watch next to it, and it's paid. Everything's taken care of. I don't have to worry about signatures or whatever.
Some of the soda machines are going that way too.
Yeah, you know what? There's even a couple of gas stations have announced, the ones that have Speed Pass have announced over the next few months they'll be able to accept Apple Pay.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty cool. I mean, and there's even a couple of ATMs that are starting to look into that ability. So that's kind of nice from that standpoint.
In other words, that was with the iPhone, right? So you have to have the iPhone with you all the time, or?
The limitation is they couldn't cram everything they wanted to cram inside the watch.
Right.
Let's face it, there's 8 gigs of RAM in here, believe it or not. So you can put music on the watch. Seems kind of pointless. I've always got this with me anyway, so why bother? You can put photos on the watch. Again, same thing. I've always got up here. That actually works pretty good. You can see them, which really amazes me. But you know, it's not the most convenient for it. But I kind of think of it as it's a front end for the phone. Let me put it that way. So the cool thing is, if I'm driving down the road and I've got the phone in my pocket, I don't talk on the phone. I'm not about to get nailed for holding the phone up to my head. You're not allowed to wear headphones legally now in California at all anyway.
Hands-free ones.
But you can't, you can only block one side. You can't
Yeah.
block both sides, okay? But should my phone ring, guess what? It rings on the watch. And I can actually answer the call, and I've learned that I can put my wrist right here, turn the stereo off, right here, and make a call or answer a call and talk, and it's not too shabby.
You can
So,
hear it.
you can hear it. It's got a little microphone and speaker built into the darn thing. You can make, every time you pick it up like this, I can say, hey Siri, call Steve, Spiegel, iPhone.
Calling Steve Spiegel, iPhone.
Oh, and you can also, and that's the same for the phone. She pronounces it wrong, Spiegel, she said. You can go back and there's a process, very simple, to change it, and it will give you, it says, that's not the way to pronounce it or say it, and it will then give you 3 different pronunciations, and you pick the one. And
I didn't know that.
Oh, I keep secrets.
Gee, that's a new one. I haven't read that anywhere.
Because I have a problem when I call my wife. I have to use the phone number to call my wife because her name is Karen and my daughter-in-law's name is Carrie. And when I tell Siri to call Karen, it always says call Carrie. And
I'll find the instructions while.
There's a way to get around that. You can put your wife's middle name in there as part of her name in the contacts list.
Yeah.
Oh, I know there's tricks like that, but it just irritates me that
Well, Greg's talking about this. I'll go find that process.
Anyway, I went ahead and downloaded the 9.3 beta on the.
Greg, somebody had a question up here?
Hey, Russ.
Hey, Russ. Not a question, comment. I apologize for the noise. Apparently the
Damn, I thought it was just a pounding headache I had.
plumbers did not realize you've got to shut the water off before you cut the line. And so it sprayed all over in the transom, right above our server room and our storage room.
Oh
So,
my God.
that was yesterday, and so now they're trying to repair it, or repair the damage. The pipe's been repaired.
Oh God.
We don't get an opportunity to thank you enough for letting us use your facility here.
Oh, no problem.
So on behalf
Paper for this year?
I don't know. That would normally go to Gene.
Okay, I'll call Gene on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, because I called the guy, I sent him, and he sends a paper to his assistant or something, and I usually get a copy of it in my email.
Mhm.
So I want to find out, make sure that's covered.
Okay.
Okay.
And we will be moving from this space no later than December 15th. It really depends if they can control the damage there and get it all cleaned out.
Oh God.
So it could be any time between now and December 15th.
And then you have another place, or?
We just started looking.
Yeah.
We found a couple places. The one that I'm eyeing is a quarter mile up the freeway from here. It's Paularino. But that place already has water damage, so.
Oh.
Hey, see that? They're gonna save you time.
What do they say? Out of the something into the fire?
From the frying pan.
Frying pan to the fire, yeah. Well, we've heard it. I wish, but you're having it done by a service. Because
It's a restoration service.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I would have brought you a nail gun and a compressor, and you could have just pop, pop, pop. Thanks.
Okay, it was their water line that was coming through our building that had a slight pinhole leak.
Oh, God.
Until they cut it, then it had a nice big leak.
Well, now they can see the leak.
Yeah, but just think of the equipment in that room.
Did any of your equipment get damaged?
None. All of the water, a tiny bit of splash on the top of the server rack, and it was less than a foot away from it where most of the flooding happened.
Wow.
Talk about luck.
It was pretty close.
Good. Thanks a lot, Russ. No problem.
Before we go on to
Yes.
9.3, I had read that there were issues with 9.2.1. Do you know anything about that?
I haven't. I saw where a couple people were griping about
Safari,
it.
something about Safari crashing on 9.2.1.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem at all, and
no.
I don't know why why anybody would have had that issue, but that was one of those almost unforeseen instances. I think it was probably something else that the people were complaining about that had that problem, but I've been very steady. I always do it on the iPad first because I use the phone more than I use the iPad, so that's why I haven't put 9.3 on the phone. And quite honestly, 9.3, have you downloaded it?
Yes, I have, but I haven't had time really to go through it too much.
It was kind of,
Shut this, it
okay,
might
thanks,
kill
Russ.
some of the noise.
Okay. It's kind of a letdown from my standpoint, the way, unless they've got some other things that they haven't talked about, because I'm looking here on iMore, I go to iMore all the time.
Yeah.
Because these people write cutting edge articles and stuff like that on everything that comes out from Apple. In fact, when they have a couple of ebooks out, their ebooks are pretty reasonable, like $5. And they're really detailed with lots of imagery and stuff like that.
Well,
And especially this gal here, Serenity Caldwell or Renee Ritchie. Renee Ritchie's a regular on Mac Break Weekly, which is every Tuesday morning. And so I like to look at their iBooks because they'll go through their version of a story like behind what's the deal behind Apple's music and is it worth subscribing to and all that kind of stuff. I have to admit that's a pretty nice feature. I haven't convinced anybody else in my family to use the family sharing yet because I'd like to quite honestly get a little money from them if I could and offset my costs. But so right now I'm only paying the $10 a month rather than the $15 a month family plan because Marcia would just use my name anyway and it'd still be $10 a month. But it's really slick when you can be driving down the road if you've got your phone plugged in or whatever and say, hey Siri, please play Michael Bublé. And if I didn't have it locally here, it would find Michael Bublé at the...
I don't understand. Please play Michael Bublé. I didn't have the local here. Fine.
Thank you, because I have this plugged in. That's a feature they added in 9.2 on the iPhone and the iPad, an option to turn on. That if you're plugged into power, Siri can be listening all the time if you wanted to. And in the case of the watch, the way it works is when the display's illuminated, Siri's listening. So you have to use I'll use the term "Hey Shlomo," which is what they tend to use on the podcast all the time. Because every now and then they'll say something like, on iOS Today or on Mac Break Weekly, they'll say the Siri name, and it's now dawned on them that everybody who's got a system listening is following along with it because it doesn't know any better. And I'm sure Microsoft has the same problem with Alexa and Cortana and all the other ones out there, that if you use it in the wrong connotation, you're going to be picking up other things for it to do. So
I can give a little talk on it next time.
I'm sorry?
I can give a little talk next time on 9.3.
Okay, because quite honestly, I haven't found much on here. The only thing that they seem to be touting is what they call night shift. Let me get in the system and I'll show you. Oops, I gotta bring that up here so you can see it. And I love the fact that they're doing this, that they're offering. Let me put it that way. But it's, you know, to me, it's kind of pointless, I think.
Well, I tried it out, and
The night shift.
The night shift, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's just automatic dimming or brightening the screen. You can adjust how it looks in the sense of the coloring and all that kind of stuff. I like the idea of multiple logins. I was, having been a teacher, I was almost surprised they did.
Now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to remember where night shift's at now.
It's in the general, let's see.
I just looked.
Oh, display, or it should be in the display.
Where you set that at?
Brightness. Go to,
There we are.
there it is, bright, yeah.
So here's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Here's the concept behind it. The LEDs that they're using inside phones and monitors on your computer, stuff like that, LEDs tend to be a little more on the blue side. Okay? Now your eyes, as a rule, counteract that. That's why when you look at when you're outdoors during the day, you got this giant blue filter called sky, and car headlights tend to look a little on the yellow side in most cases, because the headlights are deficient in blue. Yet at night, headlights appear to be white. Why? Because your brain tweaks the colors and solves that problem. And one of the issues they've run across over years of people using computers late into the evening, especially like you're going to read for an hour or so before you go to bed and you're using your iPad or iPhone to read, is that you're looking at this excessively bluish light for that time of day that may affect your sleep circadian rhythms. I think that's what they call it, whatever it is. So Apple, in their infinite wisdom, decided to add, 9.3 is going to have it, an option to adjust that so that the color is adjustable back and forth. As you can see what I'm doing right here. And wherever I move it to, it's subtle.
Yeah, enable manual, yeah.
So here's the normal spot as far as they're concerned. Here's what it would be like. The whole idea is if you have this set for auto, and you can see I got it set for 10 to 7, you can change the hours to whatever to be automatically scheduled, is that when you're getting ready to go to bed at night, it would be slightly warmer looking white light that theoretically your eyes won't notice the difference, but it'll be better on your sleep cycle when you finally do close your eyes and actually get some sleep. So I like the fact that they've added this as an option in there, and I think we'll probably see it on the next Mac operating system, that you can set up a schedule so that late at night, if you want this to automatically tweak the colors a little bit, it will. Now, here's the drawback to it. If you're using the iPad, the iPhone, or the Mac, or any device that's got that capability for color adjustments of a photo, you're going to have to set your own set of standards up for that, whether you want to use that feature or not. I can tell you myself, years ago when I was into doing a lot of photo retouching for QuickSet, that's how many years ago that's been, and I worked at home, I darkened off the room I was in so that the only light I was looking at was coming from the monitor, and it was a CRT back then.
Yeah.
Because it made a real difference in how the color was perceived on a finished product. So I had finally gotten around to setting up my own set of color standards at home, created a color display using Apple's built-in color chart, and I use that as a reference. And of course, with a CRT monitor, that changes over on LEDs. They either works or don't. There's no in between. So that became an issue that I had to be aware of. And the color looked different when I was in the office because they used cheapo fluorescent lights, and so that was a little bit more deficient on the magenta side. In other words, a little bit more green looking. So that made the perceptions of whites appear a little bit different as well. So at least down the road, they're giving us the flexibility to set this ourselves. It's just something you gotta be aware that exists. Yeah.
Greg, you're aware of the fact that you can buy for a couple $100 instrumentation now that allows you to measure and set up your monitor, and then it gives you a code that you can input to a printer, or if you're having an outside company do your printing for you, you can send it.
So you get an exact match.
So that you get an exact
Right.
match between the screen and.
Bart, you're one of the few people who really knows what that is.
What?
I mean, I know what it is, and I had an old color meter for years. They were about $800 that I used to use when somebody else was picking up the tab, and that you could actually buy an attachment to be able to read the color off of the screen. But the average guy would never have need for anything like that. So
I'm considering buying it. I haven't decided what brand to get or model. yet.
bottom line is, you gotta make it look good the way you want it to look. That's the important part. So I always kind of figured that if somebody's not paying me, I'll just make it look good for me. I don't care about anybody else. So
Oh, thanks.
that's the only real, well, you know, let's face it. If somebody else isn't paying for it, if it looks good to me, it's gotta be in the ballpark because I'm used to doing that, so.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the big feature that they're touting on 9.3. Now, on other options they're talking about is, you know, is there more security involved? Yeah, probably a little bit. Siri supports more languages? Yeah, like, we really need that a lot.
Ask Siri if she loves you.
Really? Siri, do you love me?
Let me get back to you on that.
I know there's a whole bunch of different goofy ones. There's mobile websites you can go look up goofy stuff you can look at.
Ask her if you're single, if she's single.
No, she asked her if she's male or female, and she has a comment for that too.
Siri, are you male or female?
I am still just Siri.
Anyway.
Notes will now have support for Touch ID. So that's kind of interesting. That actually makes sense because a lot of people who have a 5S or later phone who use the Touch ID, and I use the living daylights out of it. I think it's a great feature. Yeah, I've got 1Password on my phone. I've been using 1Password on everything for years, and I really like that. But sometimes people tend to put passwords and other information on the notes because it's easy to get to. I totally understand that, but it's not encrypted. So if they get into your phone, they have access to get into the notes as well. And with 9.3 on both the phone and also on the iPad on iOS 9.3, Notes will require you to put your thumbprint, if you've got that feature turned on, will require you to put in a password or put your thumbprint in as well.
Oh, that's great.
So that's an improvement that really is needed. And I'm kind of hoping that at some point in time they'll offer more stuff like that, so.
Yeah, 1Password, I notice when I'm accessing it from the phone or the pad, it tells me every time what's your master password, and then as it's doing it, it says unencrypting. And it's like that. It's like I've got a whole list of those things.
Yeah, well, I've got about 2,000 different websites in here, of which, stupid me, I'm still using the same dumb password on a lot of them, which now I'm getting it, yeah, no, it's not quite that bad, or admin123. But it is, but I am getting better. When I go to a site that I haven't been to for a while, I'm starting to change them now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir?
Problem I've been having with thumbprint, I have a 5S, is it works for maybe 3 or 4 weeks and then I have to redo it.
You know what? How many fingers have you got set into it?
2 or 3.
Okay, I read something the other day that, first off, I've learned, I have greasy fingers, probably from all the crap I used to eat, that if that sensor button down here is cruddy with a lot of grease, it sometimes won't work. So whenever I'm cleaning my glasses now at work and I keep spraying one of the microfiber cloths, I spray after I clean the glasses when I know the cloth is still a little moist, I'll give a shot over that. That solved a lot of problems. But I learned a little trick the other day that I saw something. I had 5 fingers. I had my thumb, my index finger, this middle finger, and I think these 2 fingers, or maybe my thumb and these 2 fingers, I forget which, programmed into it. Okay? Made sense. The finger I use most of the time, well, I better not show it that way, is that middle finger, the high sign finger, because most of the time it's sitting on my desk. Now the exception is when I've got the phone in my hand, I'll use the thumb.
And do you know what else I found, Greg? You get out of the shower, you dry your hands, and you go like that, and it takes a while to do it because the heat changes your fingerprint. Bizarre.
Well, here's the trick I read the other day, which I thought was really smart. They said you've got 5 fingers you can put in the same finger more than once. So the finger that you usually use to do the phone, in my case it's this, the high side finger here, because it's on the desk most of the time at work, I've got it in 3 times. So it thinks it's 3 different fingerprints, but in fact it really isn't, so it recognizes it a lot quicker. I was surprised how much of an improvement that made. So that's a thought. If you're not using it, if you don't need to use all 5 fingerprints, use all 5 fingers, but use it for the fingers that you, use the extra ones for the finger that you use most of the time, so it gives it it's like 200 or 300% shot at it, rather than just 100% shot at it. Because quite honestly, every time I put my finger down on this, it's looking through 5 different databases to see what matches. Well, now it's only looking through 3, when it was only 2 fingers or 3 fingers, it's only looking through 3, but now it's looking through all 5, of which 3 happen to be the same. A little bit more accuracy in case I screwed up when I did the input. So that's just a thought. Yes, sir?
And also with the drier air in winter when you're indoors, I found that it won't read my thumb when my hands are dry.
It's sensitive.
It ain't perfect,
you know.
It ain't perfect, but you know what? It's the most accurate system I've run across, that's for sure.
Usual.
So I mean, at some point in time, I'm sure we'll have retinal scan. I don't know how convenient that'll be to do one of these every time, but you know. And then what do? They'll just rob your eyeball out, you know, just yank your eyeball out and fix that problem. So, okay. Apparently they've made some improvements to news. We're going to let Stuart's going to see whether there's anything worth it or not the next time.
Right.
I don't use news. I don't know anybody.
I never use that, but
it seemed like a really good idea that nobody uses. The health app, I am starting to use that, and they're getting more and more stuff, so that's good. I'm glad about that. Here was the stuff and CarPlay. Does anybody here have CarPlay in a car?
Oh, no, are you talking about where the phone goes through the?
Yeah, but where the phone integrates into the display on your car.
No.
That's CarPlay.
Oh, no.
And apparently almost every new car coming out now has got that support for both that and the Android version. So that's good. It's good from that standpoint. I mean, I play through my stereo because I've got an auxiliary input, so I mean I use it for that. But okay, I guess this is going to be the big thing is for, and Stuart had mentioned it, for education purposes, where I guess the teacher's going to be able to control a little bit of everybody's iPad.
Yeah, I used it when I was teaching. I mean, a similar program, but we had Microsoft products. Basically, students will be able to have, each will have his or her own login within
so
one
any iPad they
iPad.
pick up becomes them.
Well, yeah, you could have one iPad for the whole class, because each kid would have their own login, which shocked me that they would, because it's going to eat their sales, but okay. And yeah, you will be able to, when the app's available, if you're the teacher, you can control, you can see what the kids are all doing, or whoever, from your iPad, what they're doing on their iPads.
So you can see if they're playing games or whatever.
Yeah, you can help them out too, and yeah.
Well, I think what you said is going to
pleasantly
eat into
surprised.
Apple's iPad sales. Maybe initially it will, Stuart, but
Right, but in the
I
long
think what will
run-
happen is when you got 30 kids that are all buying for 5 iPads,
Yeah.
somebody in the school is going to say, maybe we ought to bump that to 10.
Yeah. If you can do it incrementally, yeah.
Well, the good thing is that they're worried about, like the LA school district, the stupid idea of just giving them, letting them take it home, do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
If you had them to where they were locked down, where they checked them out basically in the class and then checked them back in, kind of a deal. Now whoever gets it, and it's his environment, regardless of whether he's got iPad 1 or number 10. It's unique to him when he picks it up, so I like that idea a lot. What I'd like to see him add to it, and I'm sure this is just right around the corner, is the ability to have more than one user use that iPad for the home. So like I would love for my wife to have her own account on my iPad.
It should work just the same.
It should. It should. Nobody will know until we actually get it.
Right, and the app isn't out yet.
Get a chance to try it out. But I'm hoping that they have that, not that she would ever use it.
Right,
And I'm using
still.
a password that's half of it's hers and half of it's mine, so she should be able to figure it out. Nah, she doesn't. She always has to call me on the phone and ask me again. Marcia, it's my password and your password. Oh, okay, thanks. It would be much better for her to have her own environment. She sees what she wants to see, just like you would on a Mac.
Greg Marcia. Greg Marsh.
Yeah. And so anyway, at this point in time, I don't think it's a big whoop.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that come the March 15th announcement or whatever it is, they'll have a few more other goodies that they've added to it. So we'll see. Okay, I want to show something. I just got this a couple of days ago and I've only played with it a little bit. My wife and I, with 2 other couples, are planning to do a fall foliage cruise. And we're looking into it right now. I'm hoping that we'll go for 2 weeks, I've got plenty of time. And one of the problems, and you've probably heard Robert mention this a few times, is like when you go to a place that's got public Wi-Fi, if they don't have a password turned on, even if they tell you what the password is, there's no encryption at all. So that's a problem when you go to a McDonald's or to, most hotels are pretty set about that because they want you to pay. Or they want you to be a guest or whatever it is. When you go to a McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever, you get Wi-Fi access. You're on the open network just like you're sending mail without being in an envelope. That's a good way of looking at it. Anybody who has any kind, and there's tons of freebie programs out there to look at, whatever you do, you don't want to be doing banking at a place like that because that's sending your banking coded information across an open Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's encrypted going to the bank, but there's all kinds of sniffers out there that can take that apart. Now, once you walk into a place that requires you to be a password, and the password could be as dumb as the word password, the data is all encrypted to and from. Why Apple and the other companies haven't gotten around to having an option to have data be encrypted without a password, I don't know. That just seems like the easiest thing in the world to have. So, you've probably heard the term VPN, Virtual Private Network, and essentially what it is, we've already got this pipe of 10,000 names going down here. I'm going to dedicate one connection to be specifically encrypted at this end and specifically encrypted at the other end through use of a VPN server. You can buy services right now that give you that capability that you can use on your phone. Anonymizer is similar to it. You've probably heard that mentioned a few times, where I can look right now on my Wi-Fi and see Greg Lock MacBook Pro and Marcia's MacBook, and I can see that their connections are up there. With a VPN, you wouldn't see squat. Everything would be encrypted. It's sort of like if you've watched any of the shows like maybe CSI Cyber, where they're bouncing the signal around 100 different ways to Sunday. It's a similar idea to that, not the same, but similar to that. I heard about this on Screensavers, which is now back on Saturdays, and it's called Tiny Hardware Firewall. And it's interesting, the company gives the device away and charges you $100 per year for access to it. So essentially what this is, 2 different ways. It's a Wi-Fi and it's a router, and it's a hardware firewall router as well. It has, there's no power in this, it needs a USB power, it needs 5 volts power. So it comes with a short USB cord that you can plug this into either an external battery if you've got an extra battery, or plug it into a USB port on your computer to power this device up. Okay, number 1. Then it's got on here 2 physical Ethernet jacks, the 1394 jacks. One being a wide area network and one being a local area network. So as an example, if I wasn't using Russ's Wi-Fi in here, I could plug into his Ethernet cable, plug it into the WAN side of it, which I'm on the same network as you guys. But then when I come off the LAN, the local area network, into me, I've now just put this device between his network and my network. You guys can't see me unless I purposely give you access to it. That's one advantage. But that's the cable side. It also has built-in Wi-Fi as well. Again, a wide area network Wi-Fi, so I can pick up CRTG guest on the wide area network. But on the local area network, broadcast out for me and 9 other people a unique name, Greg Lock's Tiny Hardware Firewall or whatever it is. And what that does, everybody's using my access to get out, and to get back in, coming through this device. But again, you guys, unless we specifically gave you access, wouldn't know that we're there. All you'd see is this device.
So that's the VPN.
This is a VPN access. If I really want to use VPN, they provide, that's what that $100 a year, they provide service where my connection goes to this device, out to the internet, to their server, and then back out again. And now it's totally anonymous, no matter what.
I see. You can use that in any public.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So like I've tried it at home. In fact, I've got it plugged in at home. Marcia doesn't know I'm plugged in. She just sees this device. I'm not using the VPN side. I'm just using it as a regular firewall, another router, which you can buy a $20, $30 router and stick in there and do that. But when I travel, I'm going to use the VPN side of it, so just there's no other nefarious. I haven't played enough with it to know how well it works, but I've heard nothing, including Leo Laporte, nothing but good things about this.
That's
So
similar to Apple's Airport Express.
it's similar, except that that doesn't provide a VPN service.
Right.
So you can buy things like this. I mean, I've got something very similar to this. This is called a Hutu, and essentially this is this without the VPN capability. But this is strictly inside Ethernet and wireless only. It doesn't give me both physical connections and wireless connections. It gives me one or the other. So here's an interesting thing of what I did, and I did this with an Apple. What's the little square one's called? The Express, I guess, the Airport Express.
Airport Express.
A lot of hotels I've been to, when you pay for the room, you get local Wi-Fi. Excuse me, you get Ethernet. And the Ethernet's a physical connection in the room. It depends on when the hotel was built. So that's great. You can plug your computer into it if you've got an Ethernet port, which in the case of later MacBooks, you got to carry a dongle, you got to carry an adapter with you, which I do. Okay, great. I've got Ethernet. Now, it just so happens Macs have this capability now, but they didn't used to. The problem was, I'm using a physical Ethernet connection inside my room. My roommate, on his Mac, was an either or, because they only had one connection. So yes, I could carry a physical router with me and with cables on it, and cable him up and do that stunt where we're both using the same connection. But with an Airport Express, I could use the Wi-Fi side of the Airport Express, use the physical connection coming in just like you'd be using a router at home, whatever you're using, Time Warner or whatever it is, and then broadcast out a Wi-Fi signal, and everybody within range of me that I've given access to would have access through that one port.
Well, Craig,
Well, a lot of the hotels charge for Wi-Fi, but they give the physical connection away free.
Oh, that sounds like what I did. We went on a cruise one time, and before Microsoft updated their Word to be now 100% or so compatible, I would have to test everything Diane sent out to Royal Caribbean because they were using XP or 98 or something.
And they couldn't accept
And
the
I
file.
have to run them through a converter before we sent the actual Word file to them. Well, what I did was, so we had to take on the cruise, we had to take a PC notebook and a Mac notebook. And what I did was I bought for the whole cruise.
What a drag to have to do that.
I know. That's why I bought the case, was so I could take both computers. And so what happens is, I took the thing in, $100, you get unlimited, a unit unlimited access.
On the cruise?
On the cruise. And what I did was, I put this on the first point of access, and then from here, you can have stuff, and this be a Wi-Fi
So it looks like just one person's buying it, but then you can give access to whoever else.
Right, right.
Well, that's what we're hoping to do, assuming that we get rooms that are close enough, or we all meet in somebody's room, one or the other.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we'll do, because it's stupid for us all to pay for Wi-Fi. You're not gonna get enough usage out of it to make it worthwhile.
It was the only reason was because we needed to have that capability.
Like I said, I've run across more and more hotels that, for whatever reason, they have wired Ethernet in the room that they give away, figuring nobody's gonna use it. And then they charge you a surcharge to have Wi-Fi.
Well, they used to have, in the drawers, they used to have a rolled up Ethernet cable in a bag. And, you know, I never bothered with using it, but anyway, we're getting on in time. I've got to make sure I'm out of here at 12 because it's our 40th anniversary
Happy anniversary.
on Monday. And so Diane says, I want to see Star Wars. And it's like,
I haven't seen it, I can't convince Marcia to go see it.
What? I
Can I tag along with you guys?
yeah,
Chaperone.
chaperone. And so I wanted to show a couple of apps
Sure.
that I mentioned before that I find are really, especially the one my son showed me about Bitdefender.
Want to plug in?
Yeah.
About hacking the Mac Pro?
You want the audio?
Yeah. No, I need the power. Oh, and yours is a small one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if he's got the,
This is for monitor.
it's a Thunderbolt cable.
Yeah, but mine doesn't do Thunderbolt.
It's okay, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yours uses the, let me see if I got mine.
I thought I left one in here for her.
On that little VPN thing,
Yes.
can you put that before your router and stay anonymous on the out?
Yes.
So then you have to have 2 passwords to get into your network.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You have to have 2 passwords to get into your network.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have to undo that. If we don't
Oh.
have a cable there. Oh, I guess we're okay.
Yeah, let's try it.
And then you pay $100 a year for being able to stay completely.
If you want to use if you need the VPN side of it, yes. If you don't need the VPN side of it, probably the little Hutu for about $40 or $30 or whatever it is the way to go.
You know, it's funny, people, we look now at, oh gosh, this program is $50, and we look at it and say, oh, that's a lot, you know? Back when, many of the good programs were like 150 or,
Yeah, that's true.
or 400 or 500.
Yeah.
These things, the prices they've got on some of these apps, online, 99 cents, $2.99 for, and I've seen, what was the one I saw the other day? It was 39 something, and that's the price of their normal app, you know, and it's like, come on, you know, give us a little break, because they're not paying, remember, they pay for the manual, they pay for the duplication and the packaging and all that stuff that now they get for free. They can do it for free. Anyway, my son showed me two apps. One is Bitdefender Virus Scanner. And
This is supposed to be very good. I haven't.
yes. Okay, so basically, I haven't scanned my Mac in 52 days. So I'm gonna just do scan critical locations. And it's going to download the, it's scanning the one place that a threat usually hides is in the system library, my user folder library, and it tries to quarantine something that's wrong, or just get rid of it.
What does this cost?
I don't know. It was free. This was free. I don't know if it's if it's they've got a free and a pay one.
Right.
But it doesn't take too long, and I'm gonna try the.
Well, the first time you do it, run it at night when you go into bed.
Yes, because this is gonna take a while. Okay, the other one is a little thing called Easy Find. Easy Find. And this thing is the most flexible. Stuart's shaking his head.
Yeah, it's very nice.
You know, you keep your ear to the ground and you'll hear a bunch of people. But I asked you one time if you'd put together a list of all the links of sites that we can go get info at. You were talking about Mac
I
this.
totally forgot about it. I will look into it.
Maybe we can publish it. So you can look in a file or folder. You can search only files, only folders, or the file contents. And so let's say any word, and I'll say the word Steve, for instance. And now some of them, Safari, Steve, you know, it keycaps, all these other things, and then you can selectively delete them or group them or whatever you want. This thing is real flexible. Here, KABC, here's a VLC. So, but this thing, it allows you to, this says here that I'm scanning files and folders. Well, if I said only folders, let's say, and I say, start it again, I have my home folder, my iPhone, my iPad, all this stuff. But you see how quick, if your computer is indexed, I mean, that's the one thing when that first came out that blew me away was when it's indexed, it goes fast. It'll just get you anything you want real quick. What I would suggest you do, because I think Easy Find was free.
I think so.
Yeah, and I thought you were looking at this one.
No, sorry.
But there's all sorts of, you know, if you're into Unix, wildcards, stuff like that. And ignore case, and say for instance I wanted it to be specific to capitals or something like that, you just uncheck that.
It is free and it's on the Mac App Store.
Right. And here's one thing, invisible files and folders. So for instance, you're looking for a file or a folder, have that checked, or if you don't want it, just uncheck it. Include package contents, you say you don't want that. But say if you wanted invisible files, and let's see if I can take that off. Nope, it has to have a word search for it. But they're also, like for instance, if you highlight this, you say reveal in Finder.
Well, that's nice.
And it'll show you that it's in a mobile device folder. And then you can go like that and see everything you're looking for. So it's really, really.
The price is right for free, guys, on the
Try it.
App Store.
Try it, you may like it. And so no malware's found. Now that was in 1 minute and 37 seconds. Now, let's say I wanted to, my son did this once, showed me, and then he left it for me to play with, but I haven't been too busy. But you can do a deep system scan. You can do a directory or a file to scan a custom location. I don't think I can do this. Oh, you gotta view the log, okay. No, I had no close. Okay. So close. But it's just really, get that, check it out. The fast scan looks like a little squirrel. And like I said, since he brought it up, he is working on video things, and during his free time, he scans the internet for all sorts of information and came across these two. I don't know where he found them, how he found them, but I've been happy with having them ever since. So, anybody got any questions for me while we hit everybody?
Not a real question, but have you heard of the app I just found out yesterday called New File Menu? It's on the App Store. It's for $2.99, and so you can use it, download it to all your Mac devices. Can I show, it's really cool. You can right-click and create documents from the Finder or anywhere else. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I think I read about that, but I haven't.
yeah, and
had a
it
chance
got
to check it out.
these incredible reviews. And it's just really nice. And very, very convenient.
There's your video.
Here, I'll let you keep this back too, would you?
Yeah.
New file menu.
Thank you for loaning your cable, by the way.
You're welcome.
Steve?
So, once you download it, and it's a very small, I mean, there's a big like, you right click, no, first of all, I go to the preferences. The preferences, you can open a file on, when you create it, instead of just having it save. Play a sound file, you know, select or deselect these, show the icon, keep it running in the background, which I always do. Here are the different templates. These are all the different apps you can use it in, which are most of them, including Microsoft Office. And here's where it's located. You do have to enable it in your access, your system preferences, like for photo extensions. But anyway, once you have it going, you just right click, and instead of having to find the app, open it up, create a new file, you can do it straight from the Finder or pretty much anywhere else. So if I wanted to open up a new Word document, I would just go right here, click it.
That's a really handy feature. $3 is it? You said
Yeah,
that?
yeah, $2.99, and you save it as, you know, example, and you can save it anywhere. Right, your desktop for right now. Click save, and it not only saves it, you can then open it up right there. So it's really, really handy. Yeah.
I like the fact that it gives the, when you have it as an icon, it has the scroll arrows on, everything works. So if you have a multi-page document, you can look through the,
Oh, right.
as an icon.
Right.
Usually that only works with Apple stuff, but that's good.
Yeah, I was surprised it works with, you know, other stuff that's an independent person. Let's see what else.
Easy, what was that called again?
New file menu. And you can, you know, just do anything you want, really, new shell scripts, everything. And that's that.
Very quick, very simple. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You had a question?
Yeah. You said your son now can upgrade to Yosemite?
Yes. And
On older hardware.
on older hardware,
Well,
but
I've got older hardware. I'd like to upgrade to Yosemite.
yeah, but you've got to make sure your time machine backup is up to date because there's no guarantee. That's why I haven't done it yet. Okay, you're at the whim of the powers that are out there. Okay.
Let me ask you something, Steve, is that something that he could put together a one-pager, maybe put it up the website?
Maybe, yeah. I could do that. I could ask him.
Just one more quick thing on what I just showed you. If I had waited like 2 or 3 seconds longer, that Word document would have opened up by itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, any document, it'll open itself up.
That's cool, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I just bought it for the free, for
It's,
free. You can't
you'll
get it.
love it. It's really,
Can't beat the price.
you
my
can't beat the
favorite.
price, and you figure if you have 2 or 3, 4 devices, you're paying $1 per device.
Oh, geez. One other thing, I just checked for this before I went up there, to find out if, the App Store had this new app I found for the phone and the iPad. God, I get tired of this updating thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up every day, but, I keep forgetting, I moved it over. I now have a weather folder.
Yeah.
Like that. And so, basically, what happens.
What is it, Steve? I didn't see it.
Well, I forgot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, I mean, these folders will really help catch your time, because you saw how many times I swiped. I must have 10 pages of apps. It's called My Radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this thing is, you know, you see the guy on the Channel 7 News at 11 o'clock at night? Well, I want to know now. I want to know what's happening.
Well, you can get that from their app too. You can get the Mega Doppler 7000 from their app, but this is better.
This is much better.
Yeah.
This is basically, was very funny, since we were gonna visit the family in Seattle, I take and put it up on Seattle, and it goes and gets, I can see the rain, the big storm coming, and I can say, hey Dan, did you just have a big storm? And, you know, oh yeah. But the thing is you can get on time all the way across the country. I haven't tried.
I use Blue Sky Weather because they have a watch app that does, so you can actually get the radar.
And it does around the world too. But anyway, it's just something that.
Is that similar to the Weather Channel?
Pardon me?
It's similar to the Weather Channel?
No, it's
Actually, they make their own, but they sell it.
Yeah, a process. They sell it, but it's free.
It's so accurate, you can blow it up and you can watch the rain coming across the parking lot.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
tell you when the
Saying
rain
it
is right
wins.
there and not here.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. And the other thing, for those people who haven't learned about it yet, is apps gone free. And this little icon, is like a price tag, but they're free things. And you've got things that are free for the day.
Yeah.
However, I found out they give you the option of going back a day or 2 or 3. And so they give you usually like 1, 2, about 5 or 6, where they used to give you a lot more. Now they just cut it down and give you a small bit every day. And many of them right now are games and kids, but once in a while, you know, here, pizza versus skeletons, I don't think I want that. But sports betting, by Sportsbook. And so you can check out some stuff free that might cost. I mean, I've downloaded stuff for free that is $4.99, and it's only free for that day. So you can.
Where is it on there?
It's called Apps Gone Free. And let's see what.
This one I'm showing here up on the screen here used to be called in the good old days the unofficial Apple weblog, TUAW.
This is the new one?
And Engadget, our own TUAW, disappeared. It killed off last year. So Steve Sandy and Dennis Sellers and Alex Jurgensen and 1 or 2 others created this one. Now it's only been in operation for about 8 or 9 months. I subscribe. It's free, but I pay $2 a month for the privilege of getting their podcast and a few other things. But this is one that you should be checking out. This is an interesting technology. Anybody heard about this Li-Fi? Have you heard about this, Stuart?
Yes, I have.
It just so happens that LED lights can blink so quickly that they can transmit data. An incredible amount of data.
Well, think back to the Newton. The Newton, you had infrared, and you could.
I know. How about using visible light for this that your eyes can't see because of persistence of vision?
Yeah.
But you could walk into a room and you'd be instantly connected with whatever. These lights would be blinking off and on so fast to transmit whatever data they wanted to.
Yeah.
Apparently Apple's looking into the technology.
Yeah, because they're talking gigabytes per second.
It's amazing. You can get home movies in a matter of a minute.
Yeah. Wi-Fi. Yeah.
But anyway, this is a good site to check out. Apple World Today. And there's explaining what Li-Fi, that's what they call it.
Oh, I see. And that is called what again, Greg, the site?
Apple World Today, appleworld.today.com.
And you didn't get that off the, App Store, did you?
No, this is a regular website.
Okay.
appleworldtoday.com, appleworld.today.com.
I love this too.
So every day they've also got a notable apps and app updates that have showed up for both OS X and iOS. They'll show stuff that's been updated. Monday through Friday, there'll be the latest, greatest cutting news. It'll be in both podcast format and text format. You know, half dozen paragraphs or something, pretty small to read.
Okay, now they're gonna be coming through the wall.
Yeah. Any moment a drill's gonna go right through the side of your head. You're just sitting next to that wall.
Yeah.
For more pipes.
Steve, why did you say that they're going to move? That's what,
Well, not until December.
December 15th, you said?
No, he said
On or before?
on or before.
On or before, yeah.
He hasn't found a place 100% yet, so.
Yeah, well, he'll let me know, but the thing is, I don't know. I gotta find out how long we've been here. But he has saved us so much money. It isn't funny, that's how we were able to drop the dues to $20.
Yeah, 'cause we still buy insurance every year.
Yeah, we have to buy insurance, but that's, what I paid, $550 for the year. And that covers the club and it covers him. So, I keep saying, we're gonna have to, give him a little, every Christmas it
Honorary.
comes up, and I mention it, and I don't do anything about it, but, we used to pay $250 for the rooms over in Orange Coast.
Per month.
Per month. And the thing is we were using their projector, even though we weren't supposed to. We're supposed to pay $99 a month for using their projector. This is a high-end Christie projector. That's like they use in the theater.
But it looks to me like it's slightly out of focus from my angle here.
Well, I don't know, it's fine to me.
Maybe it's me.
But the thing is so I think we're going to have to give them a little.
Sure. I think it's worth it.
$1,000 or $2,000.
All right, you got any other questions? Otherwise, we'll call it a little short here.
Yeah, because we don't want anybody to get easy.
That's right next to your head. All right, guys, we'll see you next month.
Okay, okay, thank you.
I don't know whether she'll be here.